Okay, here we go. Draft night 2025. It is upon us. Welcome live on YouTube. Hey guys, Guy here, and the countdown is on to the 11th pick. Great to see a lot of you already here at the start on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that very much. And Titans are on the clock. They're going to draft Cam Ward, and then we're going to see if that last minute curveball that Rap Sheet threw out there about an hour ago that the Browns were trying to trade out at number 2, if that's going to come to be, I threw out a scenario yesterday where the Niners could trade up to 3 and get Abdul Carter. I said, hey, it's not as nearly as expensive as it was, say, in 2021 to move up from 12 to 3 to get Trey Lance, that it would not be as expensive to do that this year. If you want to get to 2, that would get more expensive. And I would be very interested, extraordinarily interested in Travis Hunter. He is one of my favorite players in forever in football. He's just an unbelievable play. I mean, I think people get so caught up in two-way, and personally, I think as a cornerback, he's just fantastic. But it's easy to forget that he was like 5th in the nation in catches last year. I was looking at the nation's leaders in catches last year because, I'm going to Oregon tomorrow morning for the Oregon Ducks spring game, and they've got a tackle who is going to be, I know my buddy Jeff Schwartz said he's going to be a top 10 pick next year, named Isaiah World. They've got a tight end who's going to be maybe one of the top 5 players in college football this year, named Kenyon Sadiq, who's just an athletic freak. And I was curious because their offensive coordinator, who's really good, Will Stein, we had a meeting with him a couple days ago, and he said, I'm trying to get Kenyon Sadiq 80 catches. I'm like, 80 catches? That's a lot of catches in college, especially for a tight end. How many Tyler Warren had? Tyler Warren had 104 catches last year, which is just a crazy number. So anyway, Cam Ward, interesting thing about Cam Ward, I interviewed him a few times when he was at Washington State and I was doing Pac-12 stuff. I remember a couple years ago, we had the media day in Vegas, and one of the things he did, his parents were both basketball coaches, the travel basketball. And so his parents' travel basketball team, he sponsored, and they happened to be in Vegas that day, and he was going to one of their games. So easy guy to root for. Rooting for Cam Ward. If you missed my video earlier, which was, there's 10 trillion videos going up a second on YouTube, so it's very possible that you missed it. But some of my predictions for today, or at least some of the hints that are out there, there's a lot of talk, and I've got both NFL Network and ESPN, and the Titans pick is in. There's a lot of talk about Shador Sanders going to Pittsburgh at 21, and I think there are enough hints out there. It's been suggested enough by people that he may go undrafted that you just have to acknowledge that it's a very real possibility. There's plenty of talk about him going somewhere, and so most people select, because there's just not that many teams that would look for a quarterback in this first round when the class is what it is. No one's so there's this feeling that it's got to be Pittsburgh. So everyone is fixated on Pittsburgh, and I think a lot of people feel like they need to put him somewhere in the first round, and so they're putting him in the first round. But I just, if it's not Pittsburgh, and I don't, that's my point, is I don't really think it is, then he may not go in the first round. So the Browns are trading. Incredible. Good for the Jags, man. All right, so what is this trade? Let's see what this trade is here. I would do this. I haven't even looked at the compensation yet, but I would definitely do this because it's just, Travis Hunter is just a freak. I would not do this if I were the Browns. Again, I haven't even seen what the compensation is yet. So let's check out good for Travis Hunter avoiding Cleveland. Man, good for him, man. All right, let me Let me switch this here, and then we can look at this. And thank you. I mean, there's a certain level of trust that comes with come on, let's get me here. And none of that. Well, let's just talk about this, and then I'll figure it out. A certain level of trust that comes in the chat today. It's tough to keep track of everything. The Browns are trading number 2, a 4th, and a 6th. The Jags are trading 5, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 1st. That's a lot. So they're trading next year's 1, which they hope won't be good, but it'll be good, and a 2nd, a 1 and a 2, this year's 2nd, which is 36, for Travis Hunter. I got to tell you, I kind of love it. Like, I think Travis Hunter is really special, and just in addition to being a great player, a superstar. So I know people will hate it. They're trying to get good. I can't hate star. He's got star qualities. He's a likable guy. He's a hard worker. The biggest challenge is like, can we get him to do just one thing? Now, it's a classic new GM, former player. Like, I'm going to go get my guy. So from that standpoint, don't love that. But they got the player. They gave up a ton. A 2, say the 4s cancel. They actually moved up. They got a better 4. So yeah, a 2 and a 1. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. But this guy's, I don't hate it. They're getting crushed for it. I just think the guy is really special. And I think he's box office. Like, he is one of a kind. He's a total package. It's a shame he doesn't play another position like quarterback. All right, let me fix my screen share situation here so we can be quicker the next time around. All right, I'll go back to here. Travis has got to be happy to not be going to the Browns. He's got to be thrilled. Now, you're going to Jacksonville. All right, so now the Giants are on the clock. Is this good? Chat is suggesting this is good for the 49ers. Let's talk about the 49ers. Before we go any further, I do want to just thank the Draft Week sponsor here on the show, Puesto. What's their new slogan? I hesitate because it's Mexicano Moderno. 2 locations in the Bay Area. Multiple locations in Southern California. If just keep in the back of your mind, Levi Stadium, they got locations. You go to a Padres game, they got locations. Orange County, San Diego. I got a text from a buddy yesterday. He was like, I finally put 2 and 2 together. I've been to Puesto in La Jolla. Direct quote, he said, you are not overselling how good Puesto is. The Adler brothers, big Niner fans, and they are really fantastic restaurateurs. So you got the fresh lime juice squeezed in the margarita. You get so many good taco options. The short rib quesadilla, the filet mignon. So shout out to Puesto. You can hit that QR code on the screen right now. Just check out the menu. Check out the menu. So thanks to Puesto. Man, people are hating the Browns trade. They got the player. It is a I hate using this word, but it does feel like a casuals trade. And the Browns are like all up in look at the value we got. All right. So the Browns will go from 2 to 5. Here's the other thing that's interesting. And I said earlier, I thought it was suspicious. I didn't get to my predictions yet. One of my predictions was that it's very suspicious that all of a sudden in these last couple of days, Ashton Jeanty's been getting mocked to Jacksonville at 5. And my prediction earlier today was, I think that is New England trying to get somebody to trade up to 4 So they don't, they're going to take Will Campbell a couple spots later. So anyway, I mean, Jacksonville had been they'd been heavily mocked with, for some reason, everyone has started calling Tetairoa McMillan Tet McMillan. I don't know where that came from, but Tet to every dread Tet. Oh, it's driving me crazy. So anyway, he's obviously not going to Jacksonville at 5. What are the Giants going to do at 3? Stick and pick. Is there a better draft tracker than the one I've got here? I'm open to somebody giving me a better draft tracker. Imagine if the Jags pick is Jeanty instead of Hunter. That actually would be kind of funny. They could have taken him at 5. So that's not going to be the pick. But, Eric Armstead's out here Eric Armstead's doing the number 2 pick? He is humongous. The Niners used to have some of the most, twice in the last 10 years, 13, some of the most badass defensive groups coming out of the tunnel you'll ever see. I mean, the Harbaugh defenses were just not even assassins. They were just like, they were ready to brawl in an alley. Those guys were so tough. And then these guys, the Armstead Buckner group, so big. They were just humongous. And it was just, let's trying to get back to that. Carson Schlesinger, I love the player. I hope they take him in the second round. Different vibe than like the big 6'8" guys ready to just, or like Navarro and Willis, who are just like huge, stocky. All right. So now the Giants are going to take, they're either trading or they're taking pass rusher. New England goes O-line. Browns at 5. See, now the chat is saying this is good for the Niners, that this trade is good for the Niners. Is it? Why? Who's Cleveland going to take at 5? I guess your theory is they're not going to go D-line at 5, whereas Jacksonville could have. What's the theory? Sell me that theory why this is good for the 49ers. So a couple of my other predictions. So one of the predictions was Jeanty at 5 to Jacksonville feels kind of smoky. The Niners, we've not talked about the Niners yet. Their move could be if Mason Graham is there at like 9 when New Orleans is picking, the Niners could move up into that spot and take him. So one of the predictions is Niners move up, but like not far, just a couple of spots. Travis Hunter. So that's one of the predictions. And if they don't do that, then maybe they just move back a couple of spots. And if they don't do that, then they take the guy at 11 that they were going to take, at 14 or something, which is very similar to last year's situation. And, obviously people don't like that. When Daniel Jeremiah yesterday mocked center, basically, to the Niners at 11, that got a lot of attention. But as I said earlier, Daniel Jeremiah was right about the Niners pick in 2017. If you go look at his mock draft, he had Mike McGlinchey going to the Niners. He was right about the Solomon Thomas pick in 2018. He's interesting. So he's got that little thing going. Then you've got Matt Mayoko, very tied in with the Niners, projected that the Niners would go Nolan. So did Greg Papa. So did Albert Breer. I saw his latest mock draft. And that's noteworthy. Somebody just texted me, did you see what just happened? I mean, what? What do you mean? Did I see what just happened? So, the Beast is down. That's bad news for anyone using the Beast. All right, let's get up. Let me make sure I'm crossing guys off this list here. So Travis Hunter is gone. Let's get this list up for you guys too. Jump around a little here. How much does Travis Hunter help the Jags? How much does anybody help the Jags? It's just fascinating. For the Jags, it's like something's always wrong. The beauty of Travis Hunter, he can plug multiple holes. It's like, our defense sucks today. Oh, well, great. We'll put Travis Hunter on defense. Our offense is terrible. Oh, cool. We'll put Travis Hunter on offense. I'm just trying to. No, that's not going to work right now. All right, whatever. Forget that. They're going to get crushed for it. I don't hate it. The Giants pick is in. RIP, the Niners trade to 3. Chris says, I think they should move back to 17 and take Walter Nolan and a pick in the second. Daniel Jeremiah didn't. Now that I think about it, I don't think Daniel Jeremiah had Walter Nolan getting drafted in the first round. And he generally gets most first rounders. So it's just part of that's interesting. Going from 12 to 17. Is there who's at 17? Cincinnati. Why is Cincinnati coming up to 12? I think Indy at 14 has potential. Because everybody feels like a tight end is going to be gone by the time the Niners pick, and Indianapolis wants a tight end. My other prediction, they're going to take a guy from Kansas. I think the corner Mello Dotson late. You always got to look for a Herm Edwards connection. Ricky Pearsall played for Herm Edwards at ASU. Brandon Ayuk played for Herm Edwards at ASU. Ricky Pearsall played with Jalen Conyers at ASU before Jalen Conyers, the 6'4", 260-pound tight end, went to Texas Tech. Very different type of tight end. And then the Niners typically have as a number 2 tight end. Jordan Reedy, basketball-y. The Niners are not known for basketball-y tight ends. And he's a basketball-y tight end, but it'd be great. So there's another guy. Greetings from a San Jose kid living in New York City. Abdul Carter, the Giants. Hello. Chad, dang guy. You spent the whole night with high hopes for that trade up to 3. I didn't have high hopes for that trade. I just said I thought it was cheaper than you realize. I just wanted to point out that it would have been cheaper than people think to get from 12 to 3. To get to 2, as I said, but like 2 was going to be more expensive. But to get to 3, I don't think was going to be as expensive. But whatever. Farrell says, wow, Giants don't have a quarterback. Giants are in a tough spot because their GM and their head coach are on the hot seat. So what do? You would love to show people that you got a little promise and you're worth bringing back the following year. So the Giants are picking at 34. I thought Daniel Jeremiah's insight yesterday was interesting. He's like, look, Seattle always wants to get out. John Schneider is like the opposite of Mickey Loomis, who's traded back like once in his career. John Snyder's at 18, that you come back there and you get Jackson Dart. That was his prediction yesterday. So the Giants, who are at 34, can still get back in. It's interesting, Carolina, I think the Bears are fascinating in this draft because they've got 10. If they wanted to move up, they could, if they feel like Jeanty's not going to be there, which again is why I feel like people were trying. Maybe it was everyone wanted Jacksonville. There's just something weird was going on there yesterday. But don't forget, Chicago's got 39 and 41. Thank you, Carolina. Cleveland in talks to move the 5th. They're doing the Eagles thing kind of in reverse. The analytics front office. It's always funny to me. Yeah, we've talked about it. Like, look at the blueprint the Eagles put out there. Go defensive line. It's like, yeah, the Niners did. That's how they got to their first Super Bowl under Shanahan and Lynch. Going defensive line. To me, the real blueprint is like the way they evaluate and value draft picks. Not the player. I mean, the player for sure, but the pick itself. Maybe it's the Bears trading up for Jeanty at 5. Brown's going to end up with a chance to get Arch Manning, and he's going to pull an Eli and rightfully refuse to go there. Yeah. Dante Moore is going to be a big-time prospect, I expect. So that'd be another guy. But I would, if I were a top quarterback and Cleveland was going to draft me, I would absolutely refuse to. I would pull an Eli and refuse to go. We're talking about a long and storied history of destroying quarterbacks. We've got some Jalen Walker love in the chat. We've got Travis Hunter is gone, Abdul Carter is gone, Cam Ward is gone. So the best, if you're not going positional value, just going overall player, the best players, Ashton Jeanty probably. Now everybody has been saying that this pick is going to be Will Campbell. This pick is going to be Will Campbell. We'll see. I mean, this is a chance for a curveball, but first of all the draft starts at 4 stuff is not true because the Browns traded up or the Jags traded up. I could have made the chat question and make sure to hit that like button. Let me see where we're at on that. What do you guys want? I could have made it. Do you want Mason Graham? Everyone's split on Mason Graham. Let's see. Of the vote so far on the stream, D-line is running away with it. 74% of the votes to defensive line, 20% of the votes to offensive line, cornerback 1%, other 5%. I don't even know what other. I put other on there. I don't know what that is. Tyler Warren, tight end. I think the Niners would be. I think D-line's the safer bet because I think the Niners would be more likely to do something toolsy, so to speak, on the defensive line than on the offensive line. Meaning the Niners do not draft offensive linemen, especially high, just based on traits and go like, we'll develop that. They just don't do it. They'll do it on defense, or at least they're more likely to do it on defense. The second round is where you kind of do some of that stuff. What am I doing here? Draft tracker. What's funny is like, even though ESPN, once upon a time, ESPN was just the place to go on the internet for all your news, ESPN.com. And even though that has changed, ESPN still has, and I used to go to ESPN.com 10 times a day. Now I go months, but truly. But they still have, there's just some fundamental stuff they just do better than everybody else. Like if you want to find, when do the Yankees come to the Bay Area? Let me pull up the Yankees schedule, the Giants schedule real quick. No better schedule than ESPN.com for baseball. Like what NBA games are on tonight? No better scoreboard than ESPN.com. If you're on the phone, it's, I don't even know what's good. They all suck. But just here, Draft Tracker. Look how just simple and clean it is. Now, if there's a better one, there's a better one. But yeah, it's good. It's great. They still have that, at least the core of what they are. It's funny, the Will Campbell pick, a lot of people have said, well, he's got short arms. And if you watch the Super Bowl and you saw how the Eagles attacked Joe Thuney, that's a short arm problem. And I hear that, I'm like, a problem the Patriots would love to have. Like, the Eagles really exposed Will Campbell in the Super Bowl. Like the Patriots would be amazing. What a pick. So Scooter says, could you imagine Walker and Schlesinger picks 1 and 2? That linebacker core would be insane. The best news of the week was that the Schlesinger's not flying up draft boards. God, everybody, even all my texts are like, the Browns, bad team, stay bad for a reason. Whatever. I mean, there are just never Travis Hunters. All right, so Will Campbell goes 4. Everybody was right about that. Wow. The Athletic, the Beast, the great draft resource scouting system. Is it still down? From, yeah. Oh, what an embarrassing situation for the New York Times and the Athletic to not have that working right now. That is awful. Everyone's on it. Server's down. Is that just me? All right, so now the Browns are on the clock. I can turn this up. I'm not going to get the... Now the Browns are on the clock. What are they going to do? I'll say, here's what I'll say about this pick. The trade, very fundamental, right? They just, Travis Hunter is generational, or maybe they don't think that, whatever. But the trade's just, there's just such good value. We got to do this trade. That feels like the kind of situation where you go Mason Graham here. Like they may just do that because it's just fundamental. I'll put that back up. Just a fundamental thing to do. Would not shock me. Which, on one hand, somebody asked, would you take Mason Graham, Browns trade back again? Would you take Mason Graham, Denver? God, the Browns acting like a real team right now. A real franchise. Good for them. So Denver comes already up. This has got to be Ashton Jeanty. Now I go back to something McShay. So let's say I think about something McShay said now the other day when he said there's going to be a run starting at 6, he thought, on edge rushers. Rhett Lewis from NFL Network was on the other day, and I said, and he's dialed in. I said, Rhett, name the locks that will get drafted before the 49ers pick at 10. And he included Armand Membo from Missouri. It feels like he's got to go. Was there a trade or was there not a trade? Oh, somebody told me, I guess that was just someone was saying Denver should trade up. All right. Well, then it's not Jeanty. Well, if it's not Jeanty, then it's got to be Graham. Not gotta be. It just feels, somebody said they're taking Graham. It just feels like such a fundamental move for them. Graham is the guy you take when you've traded back. Oh, all right. If that's what happened. I like this negative Mason Graham talk. We got a reverse psychology this one. Now producer Connor is hanging out in the background today for as long as he feels like it. Connor, keep an eye on breaking news because I can't quite listen and hear everything Schefter is saying. And I've, I all these guys, the old days of tipping picks. Who's left tipping picks? Jordan Schultz? Is he the only one tipping? Is he still tipping picks? So, yeah, but anyway, Connor made a. We were talking on the phone earlier. Who did you say? I don't know if Connor's even prepared to come chime in here for a second, but he is. Okay. Who did you say? We were talking about a player, and you're like, "Oh, if the Niners draft him, we haven't checked his internet quality either." But
yeah, it could be
if the Niners. Who are you talking about earlier? Like if the Niners draft him, I'll change my. I'll start liking all the stuff I used to hate about him.
Yeah, I think it was Abdul Carter, right? It was like marijuana, it's legal in California. Toe chuck drivers are the worst sort of thing. You could easily as a fan flip. Just if it's your guy.
Broken foot.
Who even on the Seahawks?
Who needs a foot? Like whatever. All right.
Yeah,
that was good. All right, everything good over there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thanks for Carter's going out, but wave at me if you want to come back in or put something in the chat. Richard, 5 spot on a super chat. Did we see their pick yet? Did I just totally ignore the Browns pick? Is it Mason Graham? Let's redo the 1979 draft and get 2 Hall of Famers, aka Montana and Clark. Appreciate that, Richard. Thank you. That sounds like a fantastic idea. And then go win a bunch of championships. Deepesh says, I got the 262 hat 2 weeks ago. Niners need to protect Brock, need offensive line. I don't know what color you got. Black and I think black might be sold out. We got red here and white. And you can just go to heyguy.co and get the hat. This is, you think about, I should have started the night with this thing. And the hat quality is very good, even if nothing. All right, Mason Graham. All right, it's all over. Now, I have been saying Ashton Jeanty's not going to the Raiders. Okay. He's going to the Raiders. What an absolute triple curveball by the Raiders. I thought there was no way they were doing it, but maybe Pete Carroll sees his Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, 262, Brock Purdy. Jeanty to the Raiders. Who's tipping picks, Connor? Wow. Chip Kelly's neighbor in Manhattan Beach said yesterday that they're not going Ashton Jeanty. I can't believe the Raiders are going Ashton Jeanty. I hate it and I love it. Oh my God, I hate it and I love it. I mean, good for them, but also he's such a stud. Good for Pete and Chip. I didn't think they would do it. And the reason I didn't think they would do it, honestly, I'm kind of stunned. The reason I didn't think they would do it is because I felt my attitude was like Chip is a run game savant. They can get a running back in round. They can take one of his guys later and still have a dominant run game. But that's why I said I heard maybe Tyler Warren to the Raiders, but it's just a weapon. It's an offensive weapon. Jeanty is there. Saquon, not quite Christian, and they pair him with Bowers. I mean, okay. Now, hey, Connor, I'm gonna bring you back in for a second. Where are you getting the early pick from? As someone,
this was a journalist for the Raiders. He
like
said
a real
Jeanty,
like
6 overall. It was picked. Let me see. How
let's be a little careful with that. But okay. All right. Let me see here, Jeanty. Anything you put in the chat, Haberman, I will read it. Ashton, Jeanty, the Raiders. Oh, it's Jordan. I knew it was Jordan Schultz. Pete Carroll gets Newt Marshall. Yeah, it was Schultz. All right. I'll just keep Schultz open. I guess we have to have here's the problem. I don't know how delayed. I know I'm not delayed to you guys, but like I know my TV, like my screens here are 17 seconds delayed or so. So it's like, do I say the pick when George?
Are you
what?
Are you NFL Network or ESPN?
I've got both up, 2 different screens because I go TV and then I got as you know. Oh, well, I don't know if you know. I got the projector here as well. But if I had to watch one, I'd go NFL. Just Daniel Jeremiah. I'd go NFL Network with DJ.
Yeah, agreed.
But Schefter's got the news. So
yeah, Schultz is 5 or 6 for 6. So
yeah, Schultz is nailed.
Pretty accurate.
He always does.
Yeah.
Someone's delay on Peacock. Are you going? Anybody going ABC? For the more like the family stories. The ABC broadcast a little different.
For the tragedies.
A lot of mom interviews on the ABC telecast. All right. Okay. So I don't know if people want. That should have been the question I asked. That should have been the question I asked people was, do you want picks tipped here? I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
That's a good question. Yeah. I feel like everyone's online.
That's my kind of feeling too.
That's sort of how people consume the NFL nowadays, right? On your phone.
Yeah, I stopped watching the draft that way because it was just less fun. Like I just wanted the drama of the moment as opposed to just like read it on. It's like 2020 is like, instead of enjoying like it's like you're watching a movie because this is entertainment, and you just instead like just read Reddit to find out what happens in the movie as it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what. But anyway, I don't know.
There's a feeling of you miss so much if you're not tuned in right at that moment, even though it's going to be right there a minute later.
A lot of people are saying they want picks tipped. All right. Okay. I'm pulling you out of here unless you got more to add here. Anything you want to say?
I mean, right now, who's the pick?
The Jets are like, I've paid the least amount of attention to number 7. So let's see here. Are we going to we got 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. Jeanty gone. Tyler Warren to the Bears has had a lot of heat on it. Now what's clear too is like some of that. I think the Jeanty is going to go 5 to the Jags I feel even stronger. It was the Patriots trying to get the Raiders to move up to 4 so they could move back to 6. And it didn't work. Because that like all of a sudden in the last 24 hours, it was like Jeanty. At 5 to the Jags. And it just
I'd assume Jalen Walker.
Yeah, okay.
If the Panthers stick and pick, he's going to go, right? Membo's probably going.
Membo's got to go. Walker's got to go.
No idea what the Saints do. No inclination.
I think that Tyler Warren's. It kind of feels like he's got. It's kind of like the Jeanty thing. If you think he's generational, then you take the position. And Jake Butt, who was a tight end, was on 2 weeks ago, and he said he's really good, but he's not Brock Bowers. Like Brock Bowers was a gold jacket when you drafted him. That's not Tyler Warren. So it kind of feels like there's 2. I mean, I guess the Saints could go their next favorite offensive lineman after Membo.
I mean, they need, I feel like, a lot. They've been kicking the can down the road. Kellen Moore has a long leash, right? Just got hired. So I'm curious who's going to be left. The Niners are right there, right around the corner.
Okay, so spoiler, here we go. Membu to the Jets, which that was, so what we were, that was the information, was that there was no way he was making it to 11. And so now we got Carolina, the Saints, and the Bears. I think here's a question. What will make the most people freak out? I think it would be if Jalen Walker got to 11. You take Jalen Walker if he's at 11, right?
Guy, he's 6'2". He's 10 pounds heavier than Fred Warner.
Yeah.
And Georgia, are they a 3-4? I don't even know what defense they run, but it feels like it. I will see if that translates. He translates to a 3-4, seemingly, everything I've read.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Georgia runs a 3-4, because that's basically what Oregon runs, what Dan Lanning runs at Oregon. Here's a comment. If I were the Niners, I would move up for Walker, but Carolina's taking him. Carolina at 8. Well, yeah, you can't get there, right? So close, man.
I think people would freak out the most if it's not an offense or defensive line if they go cornerback, which that was mock. That was it's
I meant freak out in like a, oh my God, I can't believe this guy fell in our lap way. Which is what Jalen Walker would be, right?
The talent, yeah.
I just keep going back to, there's something about the fact that in the last 24 hours, Greg Papa, Mayoko, Breer all say Walter Nolan. Did you notice that Walter Nolan was not in the first round of Daniel Jeremiah's draft yesterday?
He started out at like a 10 to 15 pick, and he's later mocked to 30s, 28 to 30, and outside out with Jeremiah. But I think there's two routes they can go. Like we talked about getting the offensive line. They signed Purdy. They get another lineman to go pair with him, like they did with Garoppolo, like they did with Mike McGlinchey in 2018. Or do they go D-line? Robert Saleh is back. What made him successful? Defensive line.
Right. Yep. Who does Carolina have on offense?
They have Leggett. They have Hubbard.
I mean, so I'm just trying to make the case, like, do you go, yeah, bro, you could easily argue they should take Tyler Warren. I'm just trying to get Jalen Walker to fall. Off play caller, head coach, right?
It can make catches in traffic. Bryce Young can throw it up, like, over the middle. Yeah, I mean, that would be Bryce Young. If Bryce Young is your guy, then you should.
It's just who they have. A lot of Walter Nolan love. I think if I polled, I didn't make the poll this, but if I polled Niners fans, I think it would be like, obviously everyone rooting for Jalen Walker. But outside of that, like the guys we've talked about all the time, it feels like there's a lot of Nolan love. There's a little Mike Green. There's some Mikel Williams. But it's, as you said, I think you said it perfectly. Like it's kind of reset time. And back to the original thing that got this whole machine going for the Niners was taking defensive linemen. Is it a sign that Eric Armstead is there looking humongous? Once upon a time, I remember that I did not like that pick at the time.
And that was before Buckner, right?
That
Armstead, Buckner.
Well, was that not the?
Or was it the year after?
They were on the same team at Oregon. Was that not the same? No, that wouldn't have been the same draft. I can't believe they were on the same team.
Yeah.
But all right, so there's Jalen. As someone who lives in Carolina, that's all the talk has been about Walker. There's definitely something to be said about good you just follow the local coverage and you kind of know. You watch a press conference and you kind of know what a coach is thinking. I'm just refreshing Jordan. I wish Jordan Schultz would take off his article from March 16th as his pinned article that says Jamar Chase and T. Higgins get extensions.
He needs to remove that. Yeah, of all days, this is his shining moment.
All right. Somehow we made it this far to the actual pick on TV without me seeing it, unless. Oh no, this is because we're a pick ahead. All right. Where's Josh Simmons going? I like the Josh Simmons idea. Kelvin Banks, I like that idea.
Can you take Josh Simmons at 11? What do you do next year with him?
I don't think you really.
What's the plan? You put him at guard? Do you make McKivitz play guard? I don't.
Yeah, you make McKivitz play guard.
Can McKivitz play center? I'm just kidding.
As someone who has advocated, I like the idea of taking Josh Simmons at 11. It feels pretty crazy to do something like that. Marcellus in the chat says, Kenneth Grant, bro. We need that mountain in the middle. I watched some. I went back. It's been a while since I'd watched any Shamar Stewart. It is crazy. He was. If you go watch just forget about hashtag film study. I don't know why I said hashtag. You go watch his highlights. He's unblocked half the time. It's ridiculous. It's unblocked against New Mexico State. Incredible play. Okay.
That's what I noticed with the Georgia players. There's so many. They're just sweeping. They're just cleaning up messes that are created by Jalen Walker or Williams or whoever.
Panthers are taking Tetairoa McMillan.
Wow.
People are still insisting on calling him Tet. Per sources, Jordan Schultz. Tet McMillan. All right. So now, here's my question. Do you Jalen Walker? I said yesterday, I could see the Niners moving up to 9 with New Orleans for Mason Graham. I think there's something fascinating. This happened a couple years ago. Well, not a couple years ago now, 6 years ago, in the McGlinchey draft, where the Niners were drafting whatever they were drafting, 9, 10, 11, whatever it was. And then the Raiders were drafting a spot behind him. Both teams wanted tackles. And then there was a coin flip. And John Lynch didn't show up for the coin flip. I think it was Lynch or maybe Shanahan, whoever, but Gruden was there and Gruden was all pissed because he was there. And whoever was representing the Niners was I don't even remember who it was. And Rod Woodson did the coin flip. But the Niners and the Cowboys drafting back to back is pretty interesting. That's a great pick for the Niners. Tetairoa McMillan going tall. We said offense, they went tall receiver instead of Tyler Warren.
That's essentially a quarterback pick.
Yeah,
Niners were
which is fine. Which is fine. So what do you do now if you're New Orleans? What are these guys going to do? I got to think they're taking some phone calls here.
Yeah, they have they have a lot of old talent still on the books. Kamara, Demario Davis, they still have. I think next year these guys are up. They're in a full reset. But Nicky Loomis loves to pick, so I don't.
You're right. He's only gone back once, wasn't it? What it was? I was saying move up for Jalen Walker, but it feels like maybe they just take Jalen Walker.
Cameron Davis out, Walker in. Cam Jordan, excuse me.
Cam Jordan. I'd be at a year. He probably hangs around for another year, right?
Niners taking a kicker.
God, I hope so. No, I don't. Who is the best? Jalen Walker is the best player available, I would imagine. By the way, do you think, can I get a refund from The Athletic? Since I had double subscriptions between the New York Times, where you get The Athletic for free and The Athletic for like 4 months. Their website is not working right now.
Oh, is it down?
It is down.
Oh no!
I just want scouting. I want the B scouting reports.
Too many people on Wordle and NYT crossword.
No, I think everyone's using. That's a good one. Niners are gonna get so close to Jalen Walker and not get him.
So you want Walker? I'm not sold on Walker to the Niners.
I don't know. I just think it's whatever. It's fine if you don't get. I just think it's such a potential value pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you make a good point. There's no guarantee that's who the Niners would take at all. The Niners could trade back if he's sitting there with like Philly. Would you ever trade back with the Eagles?
No, because Howie Roseman's going to make a great pick. Howie Roseman's going to take the Georgia guy.
That's the thing is all Roseman could take a guy. Yeah. What you got?
D Ford was the exact an inch taller and 10 pounds heavier than listed than Jalen Walker. I mean, he couldn't stay healthy, right? He had the talent, couldn't stay healthy, but D Ford. So they did at one point like that position type.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
It is possible. It's doable for this scheme.
Yeah. When I suggested Abdul Carter, everybody hated the fit. Not everybody, but everyone that made a comment on the YouTube video. What if Tyler Warren's sitting there?
I was thinking that.
Feels like Chicago takes him.
Yeah, you'd think. They've Komet. I mean, they're not going to go O-line because they invested so much. I mean, I don't think they're going to go O-line because this offseason they did so much Tooney and the shared with the Rams. So I'd assume you want to surround Caleb Williams with some playmakers, and that would be a phenomenal pick for them.
And they could take a receiver. Like they have 2 picks in the top 10 of the second round. They have whatever they have because they have Carolina's pick, and then their second round pick is even better than their first round pick. They've got 39 and 43. Tet. God, I'm gonna stop complaining.
Why do you think Tet McMillan fell so much in?
I don't think he fell.
Teteria.
I don't think he fell at all.
No, in the whole process, I'm saying, because he got picked top 10, but he was being bounced way backwards. And I know you covered him, and
maybe people were trying to get maybe somebody were people are bad mouthing him, trying to get him to fall. I think his situation was weird, as somebody told me around him. Like, just think about it. You go there, you're kind of instant star. You and your buddy go play quarterback, go play at Arizona. You get a bunch of NIL money. Your coach leaves. But then the team's not good. Receivers are known for, maybe riding the wave a little bit more than your guard would about, if the team's good, I'm up. If the team's not good, it's not ideal. But like the point this guy was making to me is like, it was such a weird situation. It just got bad fast because the vibes were good. I think he's a really good pass catcher. And I could understand. Here's the thing. I've watched a lot of Arizona football over the years. I like Brent Brennan, their coach. I like Jed Fish, the coach before him. It doesn't always feel like the biggest environments and the biggest games. So, to me, my point is, if you were to take Teteroa McMillan and put him like at Oregon or something, I think you would have. Honestly, maybe should have gone. I don't know if they want. I mean, that would have been a good place for him. Because I just think Arizona, it's a basketball school. I hate to say it, or they'll hate people saying it, but it's just kind of an easy place probably to put it on cruise control. So, my point being, I'm not overly concerned with all the Teteroa stuff.
Coach leaving, and there's a lot of factors there. All right, Saints pick is in.
Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, Texas. I don't know if it'll work. I just know, is this going to be what's the most hyped Niners first round pick, non Trey Lance. I mean, Solomon Thomas, I don't remember people loving that. McGlinchey, you know, I don't think that would people were not falling over themselves with joy.
I remember the Reuben Foster pick got a lot of love at the time.
I loved it, but it was like that was like 26. You know,
yeah, they traded back in with the Saints. Yeah,
the Kinlaw pick. I don't remember how people felt about that one. People were mad because he traded Buckner.
Right.
Ayuk. I loved you can go
Ayuk
check the tape. Good. I loved the Ayuk pick. I don't think the world was in love. Bosa too easy. I think if the Niners get Jalen Walker, now that I look back at it, this will be the most hyped first round pick, non-Trey, non-quarterback of the Shanahan-led era. Okay. Bosa was hyped. What I mean when I say hyped, I just mean like Bosa you had the number 2 pick, so you knew you were taking whoever you wanted. So obviously that's more hype. I just mean like in terms of the reaction to feeling like a guy fell in your lap. That's the point I'm making. Now the Bears can do whatever they want here.
Right.
But it feels like they got to take Tyler Warren.
Yeah, Bears addressed their D-line with Sweat last year, I believe, from the Commanders.
They paid him. They traded for him and then they paid him.
They took a receiver. They took a Dunze last year.
Right.
They were getting a lot of mock to Jeanty, so offensive weapon. So yeah, I mean Warren would make perfect sense.
Offensive coach, right? Like this is Ben Johnson now. Like Ben Johnson, remember Ben Johnson's turned down a lot of jobs. So you got to figure he's got a lot of say in this pick.
He had Laporta. He had a great tight end in Detroit and a great running back. They're probably going to go tight end running back would be the offensive side. And
I mean, the Cole Kmet plus Tyler Warren would be really interesting. Unless maybe he would like. Did you say this already? Like he did the tight end thing and had a lot of success in Detroit. Did you just say that?
Yeah. Laporta,
okay. Good point. Yep. Wow. Okay. Oh, I got the wrong draft tracker up there. All right. I wouldn't have minded Kelvin Banks, by the way.
I was pretty set on him. Just because it's like a 2-year plan, 3-year plan with him.
Yeah.
He solves ideally the left guard, and then kicks out to left tackle. Supposedly he can do that. But it's done. On to the next.
Jalen Noel is a beast, somebody said. I could definitely see them taking an Iowa State receiver. I wouldn't be surprised. Who else do we like here? I was trying to find, I told you this earlier and then I didn't really look. Other than Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner, one of my predictions was the Niners would take a Texas A&M Aggie.
Yeah, he's interior guy.
Yeah.
6'4", 300 pounds. They also have Nick Scooteron.
Yeah.
I've also seen, apparently high upside with him as well.
I wonder if the Niners thought. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wonder if the Niners thought that Jalen Walker would be here. Oh. You know, I heard somebody say the other day, there's several teams who have Colston Loveland ahead of Tyler Warren. And Nate Tice of The Athletic. Now, Jake Butt came on and disagreed. Nate Tice did this whole breakdown of like, Loveland's already a better blocker. He's got more blocker upside. And Jake Butt came on. He was like, no.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. Very interesting. And that's Ben Johnson right there. But I wondered, did the Niners think Jalen Walker would be available to them?
I mean, why is he falling? I mean, is it fit or
is he falling? Well, but is he falling? Like, who's taking that edge rusher? Abdul Carter's the only other edge.
Yeah, I guess that's. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's fallen a little bit, it seems, but
yeah, I mean, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, if some other edge had jumped over him, I'd agree.
Yeah. Okay. Warren being drafted after Loveland, that is a surprise.
I mean, it is. It is. I'm not going to rewrite history here, but it's. I think it was Daniel Jeremiah. Somebody said the other day there's several teams that had Loveland ahead. All right, let's see here. Let's clear the decks for this Niners pick. Walker don't fit. He's too small. Here's the beauty. The Niners now have their choice. You've got one defensive tackle taken who, I think they would have taken, and one edge rusher taken. So the Niners have their choice of whoever they think the third best overall defensive lineman is in this draft. Now, if they want Walter Nolan, let's say, then you can trade back. Matt, hold on. Where'd Matt go? God, comments are coming too fast. Matt Brooks says Niners are taking Mikel. Yes, we thought, and indeed they are. Jordan Schultz says the pick is in, and the Niners are taking Georgia edge rusher Mikel Williams. I got to tell you, it feels pretty amazing to just get like a blue chip defensive player from the SEC. The Niners have they had that? Have the Niners taken, this group has not taken, I guess, Javon Kinlaw. That's the only other blue chip, the Georgia guys, they took an Alabama guy. They haven't really been in this mix before. So that feels pretty good. I just feel more confident about a guy like that. Oh, where is this pick? Okay. Mikel Williams. So Jalen Walker, who, I think the consensus, at least that you'd heard, was that he was above Jalen Walker on a lot of boards. But Jalen Walker, 6'1", 243, 32-inch arms. I love the idea of going to this position. Let's go Lance Zierlein here. Hybrid talent who takes snaps off ball and on the edge, drifts downhill to meet blocks, constrict the run lanes. That's a big deal. Good length to stack blocks, punch, pass on the move. Twitched up. Thank God. Rush attack, highly athletic and natural, which means he can take coaching from Nick Bosa. I mean that sincerely. Like, Bosa with high-level guys, are you good enough to take some of his tips? Weaknesses, below average size, is a full-time edge setter. Improved off the ball, but still developing instincts. Needs to prevent his play side shoulder from being covered. Average bend limits his sink to flatten potential at the top. Gets mauled by size when his rush crowds too close to the tackle. Okay. Wow. Good for the 49ers, man. Good for Robert Saleh. Is Robert Saleh going to have 2 years of Niners defensive coordinating? My guess is yes. But yeah, my favorite part of that scouting report, if you say, is twitched up. That's my favorite part of the scouting report. Let me send a couple texts here. I can't even keep who's on the Dallas. Okay. Let's try and get some Georgia. Try to get some Mikel Williams insight. It'll be interesting to see. Schultz. Not taking Walker's going to bite them. Daniel Jeremiah just said he had Walker at 5 and Williams at 22 on the big board. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean that's what most boards had. Most board. Let me pull up the Beast board. DJ. The two boards I look at the most are DJs. I love Zerline scouting reports. So let's see. The Beast had Jalen Walker at 5 and Mikel at 23. The fifth edge. He had Mike Green. He had Shamar Stewart, although I don't blame the Niners for not taking Mike Green or Shamar Stewart. Niners must have loved the pick. Yeah, I mean, I think they love the pick, clearly. And I think it's hard to move down. I think it was going to be hard to move down. But the idea that they got their shot, like this is for drafting 11, and I know this isn't the best edge draft, but when you draft 11 and you get to pick the third best defensive lineman in Europe, you get to pick whoever you think the third best defensive lineman is in the draft. You get to pick them. That's pretty good. Like if that doesn't work, if he doesn't work out, you don't get to blame. Well, if we'd been at 7, maybe we should have moved up to one defensive tackle, one defensive edge, and then you get the third best defense. I don't know how many years we go back and say that the team drafting 11, especially in a draft without a bunch of quarterbacks, how many times do you get to say that the team drafting 11 gets the number 3 defensive lineman, whoever their number 3 defensive lineman is? Last year, of course, it did not happen because all the quarterbacks went. In 2023, outside linebacker went 7, defensive line went 9, and then third best defensive lineman went at 13. So maybe it's not that crazy. 22 defensive end. So by the time I got to 11, that would have been the 4th. That was a better defensive end draft. I'll skip 21 because of that was a really good draft, but except for the quarterbacks. 20, Chase Young goes, Derek Brown goes. So 11, you could have had the third best defensive tackle. And the Niners' third best defensive lineman. In 2021, the Niners also took the third defensive lineman off the board. That was at pick 13. That was Javon Kinlaw. And obviously after that, oh, you know what, guys? I knew something was I reading the Connor, don't repurpose that. I didn't see the name. I was just looking at the stats. And now in hindsight, I realized the Mikel Williams scouting report was Jalen Walker's scouting report. Let's do this right. I'm like, wait, in hindsight, I'm like, wait, it's like 6'1". Mikel Williams is big. Mike. Are the Niners going to flip some picks for Zay Jones? That's a good callback right there. That's a good callback to an old joke. All right, here we go. Let's get this Lance Zierlein scouting report here. 6'5", 260, 34 3/8 inch arms. Strength, explodes out of the stance into blocks with force. Range, quickness, covers ground quickly. More than 30% of his career tackles resulted in a loss. Quality, get off to attack. Keeps long arms active for strip sacks and batted passes. Balls out. Weaknesses: needs to improve base strength and upper body power. Can be stalled. The Niners have done a great job of getting not strong edge rushers opposite of Bosa previously. So not a big change. Can be stalled by strong hands that cinch him up. Inconsistent press and shed. Pass rush approach is currently underdeveloped. Okay, great. Same thing I said earlier when I was reading that Jalen Walker scouting report applies here. And then here's the, kind of an underrated thing. And I saw someone just make this point, and I think it's a really good point. One of the underrated things, if you're taking, not all the time, but if you're taking a Georgia guy, an Alabama, if you're taking these blue chip guys from blue chip programs, a lot of times, if they're a five-star, initially an SC recruit, highest rated recruit signed by Georgia in 22. So this type of player is a guy that plays right away, right? They don't stay 4 or 5 years. So they play right away in college and they come out after 3 years, which means they're young. He is not yet 21 years old. He's 20 years old. He turns 21 on June 29th. Oh, Columbus, Georgia. Was not familiar with Columbus, Georgia. Todd with a good observation. Todd says the Niners have trusted Will Muschamp before. Yeah, Matt Barrows made the point a few weeks ago that the Niners really trust Will Muschamp because he doesn't bullshit them. And he's on the Georgia coaching staff now. So that is great detective work there, Todd. And he said maybe, he said take Mikel over Walker, but to the point somebody else made, he's physically so different than Jalen Walker. Wow. All right. We're waiting on some Georgia intel. Here we go. Hey, Connor, I'm going to send Connor a number here. Connor, can you text this guy? See if he'll come on. Okay, let's get action there. Oh, here we go. Let's look at this. He's sweating. I love the outfit. That is workwear. Mikel Williams. Let's hear what DJ has to say here. Upside. Dominates the point of attack. Dynamic pass rusher. Oh, these highlights. Apparently, there was a report they called everybody to trade down. Okay, but this, doesn't this feel different than trying to trade down and taking Ricky Pearsall at the end of the first round? Like a blue chip, just great. I'm into it, guys. I'm into it. Yeah, there's so many. I think one of the interesting questions, Booger doesn't like him. I think what Booger's on Espen? Let's hear what Booger has to say. So let's see. We got a question here. Is he going to play right away? Hold on a second. Let me answer that question another way. Let's look at the Niners depth chart. Is Mikel Williams going to play right away? God willing. How about our lads? They got this thing ready to roll already. Get out of here. Is he going to play right away? Yes. Sorry, this is a long way of saying yes. I mean, yeah. Yes, he better. He's going to have every opportunity to play right away. Somebody asked, yeah, I can put the Tyler Booker goes to the Cowboys. There we go. Dolphins are on the clock. Remember the crane they stuck Booger in? Yes, I do. I mean, I like Tyler Booker too. I would have been okay with that pick. But anyway, back to the point about what did they want to trade down. There's just a difference when you're picking at 11 and you're trying to trade down than when you're picking at, whatever Ricky P was. And I 31. And look, I'm enjoying Ricky's YouTube vlogging. But it's physically, you're just talking about a different level of prospect. So cool. Like, I'm into it. Who had the Aldens? Somebody had an Alden Smith comp? AG in the chat. Reminds me of Alden. Let's do some more Mikel. Oh, look at this. See, there's so much stuff going on today that this was out there. You just had to see it. This was from an hour, maybe Florio. He said, this was before the pick. He said the odds have dramatically readjusted. The Saints, with the Saints penciled in for Mikel Williams, it's fair to ask whether someone will try to move past them. Here's a team to watch, the 49ers. With the 49ers at pick 11, they could move up to 8 in a trade with the Panthers or 7 with the Jets to get Williams before the Saints can take him. If that happens, here's a name to watch for the Saints. Defensive end, Mike Green. Now, as we know, the Saints went offensive tackle, and Florio wasn't able to bait the 49ers. Somebody gave Florio we're getting a guest here. Sorry, 1 second, y'all. So Florio was we're gonna get an ex. Are we getting an expert on here, Connor? You think? Yeah, we're gonna get him. Okay. So we did this last year and we had a lot of fun with it, and we're gonna do it again today and this year, which is getting some expert insight on Mikel Williams. So that's coming up here in a second. Hang in for that. Alden Smith comp there. Let me see here. Did I see somebody say they want Tate Rutledge now too? I would love it. Give me an SEC guard. What are you saying, Connor? Do you otherwise? Yes. Okay. All right. Wow. Now I got to go back and let's read some of this Tough start of the ankle injury in the season opener. Mikel Williams. Gray Zabel possible in the second round for the Niners. So ankle injury against Clemson, missed 2 games, bounced back. Defensive lineman of the week in the SEC against Texas when he had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Connor was it, so Williams just said in an interview, I was injured the whole year, never healthy. I was messed up pretty bad. It was extremely frustrating with people not knowing the full story. He played the season at less than 60%. Okay. Don't love the quote, but I didn't see it. You got to see it. Did you watch him say it or you just read it? You just read it. Little excusey, but I didn't watch it. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. Private workout with Jalen Walker a week ago. I feel like I got a different mentality about how I work. Okay. I'm a big be about it. Don't, whatever the other thing is, don't talk about it guy. So, but he's 20. We'll see. Not the most mature quote. Nothing wrong with it. They're not immature either. They're fine. He's 20. Interesting. Okay. Meanwhile, who's on the clock? Miami, then Indy. I mean, is Tyler Warren going to go to Indy at 14, or is Miami going to take him? By the way, as we're yeah, okay. Connor, let me know if you get an ETA on that. Is he jumping in or what's he doing? We cut Leonard Floyd and drafted a young Leonard Floyd. All right. He needs a few minutes. Okay, cool. Now you start turning your attention to we're going to focus on Mikel Williams here for a second, but who are they get in the second round? Comment, not a bad pick, not a great pick. They should have traded down and still could have got him. I mean, they would have loved, I'm sure they would have loved to trade down. Mikel Williams, edge rusher, Georgia. I would have I would have liked to trade down, no pick at 11. Would have been awesome, but Williams is probably one of the better choices. Would have hated Shamar Stewart. I know this. I'll say, if you're 20 and you're at a program, if you're 20 and you are limited physically, there's only so much you can learn from Nick Bosa. But if you're 20 and you have traits, and this would have been like if you, I'm not saying they should have, but if you would have drafted Shamar Stewart, it would have been the same thing. Then you can learn something from Nick Bosa. You can actually, it's like, I could go train with Usain Bolt, but it doesn't do anything. Now, if you're the 5th fastest high school runner in America and you go train with Usain Bolt, maybe you got a shot. Comment, Niner fans are never happy. Is anybody, fan base wise, ever full? You're just never going to have consensus. Here's what I know. John Lynch is going to say they were convicted. All right, let me go back to the draft tracker here. Oh, Miami takes Kenneth Grant. Justin with a question. Do you consider Mikel a single, a double, or a home run? Well, I think it's rare, very rare, and this draft does not have it. At least it doesn't for the Niners, where the pick is an instant home run. So I don't know, but I think he has the potential to be a home run. I think the idea that anybody is an automatic double is mostly untrue. I think we say that like it makes us feel good about picks, but for the most part, there's no automatic, there's no guaranteed double. High floor is bullshit. High floor is what you could think. But I don't think it really exists that much in the draft. Like Mason Graham, everyone's like, oh, it's a double. And I'm just like, is he though? Is he a double? I think people, I don't want to rewrite history here and say Solomon Thomas, everyone thought was a double and he wasn't. Tyler Warren going to the Colts here. But I just think my basic point is the idea that there are just obvious doubles in the draft. I just don't think it's true. I don't think it's true at all. There are so many moving parts. Hitting a double is so hard. And the majority of NFL players aren't doubles. The majority of first-round picks are not doubles. I bet, the majority of top 15 picks are not doubles. Doubles are good. They're hard, like they're difficult. So I don't think there's doubles. Immediately. But if you draft traits, then you got a chance at a home run. And if he turns out to be a double, like that'd be good. What was McGlinchey in the end? Was McGlinchey a double? He wasn't a home run. He was a 5-year starter at right tackle. He wasn't a single. Bloop double, Connor? It's a double in the scorebook, but like fisted off the. You didn't have a torpedo bat. All right, Falcons are on the clock at 15. Is this where they trade Kirk Cousins to the Steelers? Here we go. Comment. James says McGlinchey was an intentional walk. Comment, don't be surprised to see the Niners move back into the first round for a defensive tackle. He was a walk and a stolen base. Maybe more like a walk and a wild pitch. Like you don't get full credit, but you're dancing around at first base and getting under the skin of the pitcher. So what would it take for the Niners? Let's just do a little exercise here. Where's my I don't have it in front of you guys, but let's just say, so the Niners have, let's do a little Niner trade and see what it would cost. Okay. Let's just say the Niners want to go from 43 to let's say 29. Let's say Adam Peters had to deal with them. Okay. And let's see what that'll cost them. Oops. So if the Niners want to go from 43 to 29, it would cost them. Would it cost them their good third, 100? Would that work? Pick 100? Right? That's their third rounder is pick 100. Oh, 75. Yeah. So you could probably go from 43 to 29 for 75. That'd be my guess, somewhere in that range. If you like somebody. Somebody, Connor's pinning some comments. Trade back up for Jihad. No, I'm going Schlesinger. Come on, and you can get him at 43. You don't have to go to 29. Chris asked, "Guy, what are you drinking?" I'm glad you asked that question because I would love for you to go drink the same thing. It's in the link is in the description of this video. It is not an ad. Cometeer is the coffee. They send it to you frozen, and the link is down in the description. Not an ad. I'm telling you, it's not an ad. And it's really good. So I highly recommend it. Okay, let's get on with it because Mikel Williams the pick. We'll keep it on. I'm going to take this out. Let me get rid of that. Oops, Connor, didn't mean to bring you in here. Let's remove Connor. Oh, hey, what's up? Did you bring yourself in? No. Okay, sorry. I'll take Connor out. And let's talk about Mikel Williams. Jordan D. Hill covers Georgia, and what a beat it is for 24/7 Sports. Dogs 24/7. Dogs with a W, as you know. And you can read already. He's got a story up, kind of a recap of Mikel Williams there. You can go read it at Dogs 247. And I appreciate very much. Good work, Connor. And Jordan is jumping in. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, what's going on, guy?
I appreciate you making time.
Yeah, of course. Glad to do it.
All right. So there's so many things to talk about here, but let's just talk about your Mikel Williams to the Niners at 11. What are your thoughts?
It was something that I mocked a few weeks ago, and then I wound up today thinking, "Oh, Mikel might go a little earlier than that." So I should have stuck with my guns there. But I really like the pickup for San Francisco. He's a guy that 6'5", 260. I think is going to really help on the edge. Opposite of Bosa, and Mikel's the kind of guy that I think getting the opportunity to go to the NFL. Putting all his time and effort into focusing on the start of his career. I think he's going to have a lot of success. I think it's huge for him to go somewhere and join a guy like Bosa and get to learn from him, get to learn as part of that culture with the 49ers. I think that's fantastic. And I think especially Mikel Williams to me is the kind of guy that, if he went to a team that was a perennial, a team that struggled a lot, it might be hard for him to kind of learn and kind of grow and develop. I love the fit probably as much for Mikel as I do San Francisco. I think he's got a chance to get there and thrive and become a productive player. And I think he's going to be a quarterback's worst nightmare out there in the NFC West.
What made you mock him to the Niners in your mock draft?
The biggest thing was just knowing what San Francisco was looking for. And I thought that more than likely he would be sort of in that 10 to 15 range. Again, you got to stick to your guns, guy. I learned that lesson with moving him up. I thought that the Saints may make a move for him. But I just thought he fits a lot of what they need, what that team needs in San Francisco. And he's a guy that, 5-star coming out of high school in Columbus, Georgia. A guy I do think it's kind of funny. He was initially set to go out to California to college. He was a USC commit, winds up staying closer to home and going to Georgia, but he's going to go out west after all, and I think he's got a chance to really thrive there.
Were you surprised that he was the first Georgia Bulldog off the board?
A little bit. I thought Jalen Walker had a chance to go, especially the Jets at 7. Carolina Panthers was where I had Jalen Walker mocked at number 8. But I did wonder with Jalen Walker specifically if people would kind of be worried about his size. Some people kind of see him as a tweener. So I thought it was between Jalen and Mikel for the first Georgia player drafted, expecting to see 3 Bulldogs drafted in this first round. So a little bit surprised, but when you see the way the board played out and how it's played out so far, I'm not entirely shocked that Mikel was the first one to go off the board.
What kind of season? We saw some of the quotes from him talking about, some of the injuries he battled. I think he said, what did he say here? That he was 60%. He played this year at 60%. And I read your article where, he got hurt early and then came back after a couple of weeks. What kind of season did Mikel Williams have?
It's one where on one hand, I could understand people saying, what could have been, but at the same time, I look at it as a situation of that Mikel Williams deserves a ton of credit, that he was in a situation where he either could have shut it down for the season, or he could have, waited about a month before he came back. He really didn't miss that much time. Had an ankle injury in the season opener against Clemson. I think it was right before halftime, and he battled back. He kept telling the coaches he wanted to be back out there, and that he wanted to play for his team, and he did. It was a situation where he didn't miss a whole lot of time, and he didn't, listening to Kirby Smart after the season, he did not practice very much, and it was a matter of, okay, we got to kind of preserve him because we know he's not 100%. He deserves a ton of credit. I think it's a situation where, he could have shut it down. He knew he was a very much a likely first round pick, and he didn't. And I think that deserves a lot of credit. And that was talked about at the NFL Combine. I think a lot of players in Mikel's situation would have shut it down, and he didn't. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. Guy, if you don't mind, I'm going to mute just for a second because we just had another Bulldog go off the board, but I'm going to post a story, but I'll be right here with you, and we can talk some more, Mikel.
All right, cool. I'm gonna wait for you to wave. Oops. Yeah. Just wave at me, Jordan, and I'll bring you back in. He's got work to do. I appreciate that very much. And thanks to Jordan for, take your time, Jordan. He's going to do a little work. And when he waves, we'll bring him back in. I think there's a few more really interesting things to ask him about. One thing, and obviously we've seen this with the Philadelphia Eagles. There was a time, and I know there's been so much, there's obviously been so much success with Alabama players, and Jalen Walker went 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. But there's been so much success with Alabama guys historically, but there's always also been a question about becoming a professional. Now, this is like pre-NIL, because at Georgia or Alabama or any football powerhouse, there is a very structured organization that gets you focused on football. And when you become a pro, even though NFL teams are structured, there's so much less structure around you. Do guys who come out of these powerhouse football programs, are their hands held too much, right? Once upon a time, that was always a question. It's probably less so now in the NIL era, because you do have so much more business outside of the program, outside of the coaching staff, even if it's the collective or, any other thing that your agent's bringing you. So, it's just something to keep in mind. The other thing that I want to ask Jordan about is, just from being around Dan Lanning in Oregon, they take a lot of pride. They get really good players, but they take a lot of pride in being a developmental program also. Like, we get an incredible ball of clay, and then we develop. Let's bring Jordan back in. God, what a professional operation that was. Got his story posted on Jalen Walker. I was just making the point. I'm going to Oregon tomorrow for their spring football game. And one thing, when you talk to Dan Lanning, they take so much pride in being a developmental program in a way, right? People who call themselves developmental programs are usually, they get 3 stars and then turn them into like Utah, the Utes, like they're developmental. But Georgia, let's just talk about development on Mikel Williams for a second. Because as you said, he came in as a premium prospect. He's only 20 years old, right? That's the beauty of getting a player from Georgia or Bama or Ohio State. Like, these are 5 stars that play right away and then come out after 3 years. So did he fulfill kind of his potential from a developmental standpoint at Georgia? I think you're still muted there, Jordan.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'd say that, yeah, he met his development and what was expected of him. Again, the injuries, I think, sort of hampered the statistics. I don't think if you look at his numbers, you just immediately say, oh, this is a first-round pick. But you consider how much attention was paid to him by opposing offenses, when you consider, understanding that a lot of stopping Georgia's pass rush the last few years were the 2 first-round guys that Georgia just had go off the board, and stopping Mikel and stopping Jalen Walker. But, he's a guy that he got a ton of credit, and I don't think he would have gotten that credit had he not earned it from guys like Kirby Smart, talking about his work ethic and how hard he worked at it. I think about his true freshman year. I mean, this is a guy that was, again, a 5-star. And, you would think sometimes these guys run into situations where they come in and say, oh, well, I'm a 5-star. I don't have to work that hard. We were at SEC Media Days when he was getting ready for his freshman year, and Kirby Smart's talking about him out there on Sundays, hitting the pads and working out there and hitting the sled on days he doesn't have to be out there. And I can tell you, as someone who's covered Kirby Smart for several years, he does not just give praise if it's not earned. He's definitely not going to do it with a true freshman. I mean, a true freshman really has to impress for Coach Smart to go out there and say something, because he doesn't want to kind of set the stage for that guy to not pan out or to set the bar too high. I think Mikel came to Georgia with a mission. Injuries got in the way a couple of times, but at the same time, very productive player. And if I'm a 49ers fan, I'm really excited. I think he has a chance to get there. And I do think he'll hit the ground running. I think he's a guy that understands what it's going to take. And I think he's got the work ethic to see it through.
The point's been made by some of the Niners beat writers, Matt Barrows specifically, who's covered the Niners for a long time, that that one of the guys the 49ers really trust is Will Muschamp, because he doesn't BS him. And I'm sure Kirby does not either. So what was Will's involvement? Is he still on the Georgia? Is he back on the Georgia staff this year?
He's sort of taken a back seat, and it's sort of been a question this spring, but he's been around the program enough to have watched Mikel and to have gotten to see him in action. And I think the biggest thing, as big as some of those connections are with someone like Will Muschamp, who's coached for a long time, one thing that I think Kirby Smart deserves a lot of credit for, they pretty much have an open door policy with NFL front offices. They say, if you want to come watch a practice in August, come on. And I do think that, that is to the benefit of these kids when they're coming out and going through the draft. These guys have seen them pass just, we watched them, run the 40 in their underwear in Indianapolis, or we had a few meetings with them. These guys have gotten to watch them on a random Thursday, and are they loafing, or are they really going after it? I think that Kirby and his experience at Alabama, coach with Nick Saban, I think he's always understood how important that is to have that open door to the NFL, that it's only going to benefit his players. And I have to imagine that, there's people within the 49ers brass who have kept tabs on Mikel for a few years and have probably seen him in those opportunities. Georgia's in a pro day is always very well attended. I'm sure that, San Francisco probably had some folks there as well. But it's really that open door policy. I have to imagine, seeing guys get drafted in the first round, that a lot of scouts have been watching Georgia players for quite a while, because Georgia tries as much as they can to make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah. That's what an operation they're running. All right. Two more for you. Before another Georgia player gets drafted, Walter Nolan just went from Ole Miss 16. What would you say his best quality is? And where's the biggest question for Mikel Williams or room for development?
I think just very simply, when he gets in top competition, he shines. I think about, as a true freshman, he went up against Paris Johnson, who wound up being, a top 10 pick. And I mean, he won more than his share of battles as a true freshman, because that was a big question going into that game, Georgia and Ohio State, is, okay, Mikel has flashed to this point, but he's about to go against a guy that we all knew at that point was going to be drafted really high. And he got after C.J. Stroud. I mean, they got C.J. Stroud, and Mikel had at least one sack in that game, performed really well. And then I think about this past season when they played at Texas, going up against Kelvin Banks. And at that point in the season, Mikel had missed time with that ankle injury, and as we know now, was playing, I think he said 60%. And he played really well. And that pass rush was a big reason Georgia won that game 30-15. I mean, they made Quinn Ewers uncomfortable. There was a brief moment where Arch Manning came in that game, and I think they made him even more uncomfortable than they did Quinn Ewers. I just think that Mikel does such a good job of rising to the moment. And looking at his skills specifically, I mean, he's just a hellacious pass rusher. And he's got the strength. he's got the strength and the athleticism combination that, I mean, he can take on these big offensive tackles and he's going to win his share of battles. I think the biggest thing to me is just watching him develop, continuing to improve, add more to his skill set, add more pass rush moves, which again makes me so excited to see him working alongside Bosa. Just what's that like? How is he able to learn from somebody like that? I really think just a great landing spot when you think about Mikel specifically in his career. I think he can really blossom in San Francisco.
Yeah, not everybody can take what Nick Bosa teaches and put it into application. You have to have a pretty special athleticism skill set. All right, last question for you, Jordan. Is there now, the Niners could use a guard. Tate Rutledge. I don't know if he'll be there at 43. Is there another Georgia Bulldog? Since you predicted Mikel Williams to the Niners once upon a time, is there another Georgia Bulldog that you think makes sense, or somebody else you've seen in the SEC that you like?
Couple of guards, Tate Ratledge, who you mentioned, who I think he would be there when San Francisco picked again. And then probably a round later, Dylan Fairchild, another offensive guard who great pass blocker. I think he could do well there. I'll give you a guy that I think I had 2 Georgia players mocked to San Francisco, and this is a late pick. This is a 7th round pick. But Dan Jackson, a safety at Georgia. Great story. I hope just for the folks covering the 49ers that he lands there because of the story. He's a guy that walked on from a local high school in Gainesville, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes from Athens, where UGA is. Was a guy that just kind of walked on his own whim. It wasn't a situation where the coaches said, hey, come here and you can be a preferred walk-on. He was going to be in school at Georgia and said, hey, let me give this a shot.
Wow.
Winds up playing a decent bit on their first national title team in 2021, continues to play the years that follow. And last season, he was fantastic back there with Malachi Starks. Now, he's not a guy that was invited to the NFL Combine. He's a guy that a lot of Georgia fans have kind of reached out to and sort of, this is their guy during this draft process. They want to see someone give him a chance. I've kind of talked myself into John Lynch looking at Dan Jackson and this safety and saying, I can kind of see some of myself. Hard hitter, going to have to shore up on tackling, but I think he's a guy, being that 7th rounder, he strikes me as someone who would be a special teams ace, a guy that could get out there in the preseason and watch him play. So I don't know if anyone will draft Dan Jackson, but I put him in the 7th round, and I think he'd be a fun story to follow if he winds up with the 49ers.
Looks like before he wore 17, he wore 47, which John Lynch wore. So
it's right there. I'm seeing all the clues, guy.
Jordan, I know it's late. I appreciate you making time. I know you got work to do, and I appreciate you jumping in for a few minutes and sharing some great insights. So thank you.
Absolutely enjoyed it.
All right, great. Jordan Hill, 247 Sports, covers the Dogs. That's the Georgia Bulldogs. And he's got stuff there on Mikel Williams, DAWGS. There goes Jordan. Thank you very much, Jordan Hill, with a great perspective. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'll bring the board back up. That was good insight. Very good insight. Josh Simmons still there. Feels like we are in Simmons' range. The Seahawks take him at 18. Are they going to trade out at 18? All right, let me get the draft tracker back up here for you guys. There we go. Keep an eye on that. Walter Nolan. So we'll get to see up close. Walter Nolan. Is this correct? Did Shamar go to the Bengals? Let's check Jordan Schultz here. Yep. To Cincinnati. Seahawks are talking trade down. Of course they are. Of course they are. And we are getting close to Pittsburgh, where it kind of feels like that's the only place that Shador could go. At 21, which, one of my predictions is if he doesn't go there, I mean, it's not really my prediction, just you look at it if he doesn't go there. And now I also thought there was a lot of hints that Ashton Jeanty wouldn't go to the Raiders. And then he did. So Ariante Ursary. Are you like Minnesota? Still there. Okay. Simmons got destroyed by Mason Graham in Michigan. Hell no. He got beat down, bro. Watch the tape. You mean he got destroyed by two top 13 defensive linemen? Like, sometimes you play great players and they're good. But when did hold on. Oops. 1 second. What, you talking 2023? They played Michigan the end. He didn't play against Michigan this year. I think Donovan Jackson was their left tackle in the Michigan game. So I guess you're talking about the 2023 game, the national championship Michigan team. But that's not what you face every game in the NFL. But again, what game are you talking about? He didn't play against Michigan this year. He got hurt against Oregon. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, maybe whatever. I'm not locking him in as a Pro Bowler, but now I will say this to that comment. I'm not killing you. Like, that's a classic NFL thing. Is you go back a year. This is a Belichick thing. Is you go back a year and you watch a prospect from this draft against guys who are now in the NFL after you've had a chance to watch them play. Yeah, he's staying 23. Okay, cool. Cool. You know what? That's a good observation. It's a good observation. You can't knock it. A good observation. Who we got on the clock here? Seattle moving back. And who do we like? Who's still left? Because now you start looking, not that the Niners would do this, but you start looking at a trade up. Jahad Campbell's still around, right? Derek Harmon, who's hurt. The corners are falling, by the way. Tumbling. Who had the mock? Oh, it was McShay that Jahdae Barron could go in the top 10. Who's going to get Emeka Egbuka? You know, if you're Pittsburgh and you draft receivers really well, it'll be interesting. Who Jacksonville? I had heard that Pittsburgh could trade Pickens to Jacksonville, but you know, if you're Jacksonville, you got Travis Hunter. Andrew asked, would you rather go bald or lose a thumb? Probably go bald, but I don't know. I got to do one of those. You don't know the shape of your head until it's all said and done. And then you find out later, like, got a good dome for it. Not super tan, so that hurts. Seattle picks Zabel, huh? That's one of those, like, if you do it, you hate it. If Seattle does it, you love it. Okay, fine. Who's going to take Will Johnson? Grace Abel is a name to watch now, in my opinion. Yeah. I'd save a lot of time on these weekly haircuts if I went bald. Not that I'm rooting for it. Hims.com/guy. I think losing a thumb, you know what I would want before I answer that question? I'd like to spend a week with like my thumb taped up. I just kind of see like, could I operate without this thumb on my left hand? You're like, what am like, I don't know, it'd be tough. Robbie says the Shador Sanders slide is embarrassing. I bet Dion is pissed. Is it embarrassing? I mean, quarterbacks fall all the time. It might work out really well for him. Like he's now, I don't know where he's going to get drafted if he doesn't get taken by Pittsburgh. Who takes Shador Sanders if he's not a Steeler? Doesn't feel like Cleveland would, but Cleveland, the Giants at 34. I mean, Jackson Dart. Where's Jackson Dart going to go? The projection was that the Giants would come back in for Jackson Dart in the first round. Everybody, half the teams in the league, they hate their quarterback, but there's nothing they can do about it. They can't get out of it. I mean, look at this. If Pittsburgh doesn't take Shador Sanders at 21, there's not another team in the first round currently who would take him. In the second round, then you figure 33, 34. Then 35, 36 with the Raider. Doesn't feel like a Raider pick. Someone will trade in the first round. But the question is who? The only reason it would happen to go into the first round to get him is if the Giants want him and they think the Browns want him. Tennessee, no. I mean, just like New Orleans at 40? Do they just think like, oh, it's value? Dallas. God, that'd be amazing. Please, football gods, if you're out there, have the Cowboys move into the first round for Shador Sanders. Seattle at 50, like, no. Someone's going to do it, obviously. Philly in like the fourth round. Browns can jump ahead of Steelers. I don't think they need to. I don't think the Steelers are taking him at 21. I think they want everyone to believe Denver would, Tampa, like they'd love for you to believe that that's what's happening. All right, let's look at some of this. Niners need to go defensive. You move up to get the fifth year. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So you just do a little flippity flop. Even if you're Cleveland, you would flip with like Kansas City or Philly or just to get the fifth year? That's a good point. Let me put this back up here and then let's talk about the Niners. So who are we looking at here at pick 43? What does that mean? We've got 2, 3. So about, what are we, 20 picks away from that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever. 16, so 20, 25 picks? Is that what it is? So that's a long way to go. A Mecca to the Bucks. Okay. A Mecca Book. Mecca Buka. Ton of activity at the bottom of this draft, says Jordan Schultz, with teams looking to trade down. Couple QB needy teams. are making calls. All right, so we're 20. It's tough to project 25 guys away, but who's gonna go? I think we're gonna have a couple running backs. You figure another few receivers have to go. I wonder if right now, actually, to a couple more, does it make sense for a couple receivers to go right now? Let's check this real quick. You always got to, at this point in the draft, when one guy goes, is somebody else about to go? T-Mac's gone. Abuk is going. So now, Luther Burden feels like he goes before the end of the first round. From Missouri, Matthew Golden. The Iowa State guys in play in the second round. Feels like the Niners don't need to go to Jalen Noel or Jaden Higgins. When they could do Kyle Williams in the third. Alec Minor in the third. Later in the draft, I like Ty Felton. I've got him as a dog. Let me take you guys back to this. So those are seconds. You're not at your tight end yet. If you're the Niners, you're not at your tight end yet in the early second. Could you be at a guard? Yes. Miles Frazier from LSU. He came on a 30 visit for the Niners, but he's not going yet. I know someone mentioned Ursery. Connerly's, you would have to think Connerly's gone by 43. Broncos on the clock. I'm just looking for targets here. Running back. How many running backs are going to go before 43? I'm going to say 2 running backs are gone by then. What other positions? I'm just going position by position here. Donovan Jackson is interesting. I don't think the Niners. I don't think there's been much interest there. Can you explain this, Todd? Barrow said preset coming up. Oh, presser coming up. So they're not making another. I mean, they could, but that's a good point. Presser coming up. Let's see, another edge rusher. Landon Jackson from Arkansas. If they went back, Mike Green does not. I mean, I don't have much appetite for Mike Green. It doesn't seem like other people do either. I thought this was a little rich, but Rhett Lewis, if you caught that conversation with him from NFL Network earlier in the week, he thought that Oluwafemi Oladejo would be there at 43 for the Niners. I have no to me, the fact that you took an edge already, does that mean you can't take another one? I don't think so. I guess you took it live. I mean, and you guys know how I feel about Carson Schlesinger. I was trying to put it up earlier, but you know what I do have? I can do it. Hold on. Yeah. Let's get this big board up. This is not worth it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. This is totally worth it. Okay, here we go. All right. I'll keep an eye. I'll try and bring this one back for you guys too. But let's get the positional board up here and kind of go through it. So here we go. All right. Visits, guys they talked to. Now, I mean, they passed on, two guys that on the big board potentially were ahead of Mikel Williams. I'm talking about, like, we're looking at the second round here. Niners, Terrence Ferguson would be great. I mean, I think Ferguson would fit in 100%. Joshua says, honestly, surprised that Pierce is still available. Yeah, we got a second round grade on him here on this big board right there. There's Olawufemi. So, I mean, we could get a lot of edges go at the end of this first round. But I don't think the Niners are going tight end that high. The Giants have been trying to get back into the first round. I mean, that feels like Jackson Dart, who I don't love. All right. Do you want to go defensive tackle? Darius Alexander Toledo might be. Is he going to be there in your third round? Josiah Stewart over Femi. TJ Sanders from South Carolina. A little later, I like Jay Toia from UCLA. Niners had a visit with Omar Norman Lott, but he's in the third, fourth round, not in the second. Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech later. Not on this board, but CJ West, interesting. Let's look at linebackers here. Not a D. I mean, unless I'm missing it, Jahad Campbell is still not gone, right? So that's good. I think that's good for the 40. The longer Jahad Campbell doesn't go, the better. But there's my guy Swessinger. I know everybody likes Teddy Buchanan here. Oops, let me make that bigger. I know everybody likes Teddy Buchanan, but it's too early for that. Just listen to the TV there. Safeties. I don't think you're going with safety. I don't think. Corners. Yeah, you could go corner here, but I don't think I would. I think Mello, Dotson, Kansas later. Penn's not. Come on. There's too much on here. Can't handle it. I think Niners are going to go Kansas. Yeah, Derek Harmon's hurt, unfortunately. Barron, Jade Barron to Denver's kind of sweet. Jade Barron. All right. So Jade Barron goes to Denver. Fun defensive backfield. And now here we go. I'm going to put this board away for a second. Yeah, Derek Harmon, man. That late knee injury reveal sucks. Oh, we didn't talk about here. I mean, we did. We talked about running backs. So RJ Harvey's interesting later from UCF. Like him. I know there's a lot of heat on Scattaboo. Woody Marks from SC can catch the ball. Kyle Monungai from Rutgers. Tough son of a gun. Taj Brooks at Texas Tech is interesting. Mekhi Bernard at Utah much later, just pass catcher. Wonder if Shanahan be scarred from Utah. But anyway, all right. There's some guys. Now here, Connor, I'm going to bring you back in here because now we've got Pittsburgh on the board. And one of my predictions was that they would not do what everyone thinks they're going to do and take
Shador.
So here we are. How about that? Were you just cutting the Mikel Williams video? Is that what you were off doing?
Yep.
Good job getting Jordan on. Were you able to listen to that interview when he was on?
Yeah, I mean, partially, but
yeah.
What was the break? I mean, Mikel Williams, he wasn't as productive from a pressure standpoint, those percentages, but he's huge. He has really good length, and if he can clean up, Nick Bosa does so much. It feels like he's a one-man show the last year. So pairing someone with Nick Bosa, I think, Robert Saleh, defensive line, that was his bread and butter from 2019 to 2021. So that got him a coaching job in New York.
Yeah.
So
that and just being a, good-looking bald dude running around the sidelines, high-fiving people.
Yep, doing high knees up the stadium steps.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So the Jahdae Barron pick is fun.
I still got a great pick.
That's a great pick. All right. So here we are. I'm keeping an eye on Schultz here. Unless somebody made the point while you were gone, like the Browns, let's say, or whoever, you could come in at 32 or 31 just to get the 5th year on Shador Sanders if you're going to take him in the second round. But if Pittsburgh doesn't take him, there's nobody on the board. Oh, how about Green Bay?
And then Jordan Love's going to go to the Jets and then the Vikings.
And then the Vikings, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Aaron's going to be on the Steelers despite the fact that he doesn't want to go to the Steelers.
So the Giants,
the Steelers have picked. The Steelers have picked.
Oh, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look.
Do you want me to tell you? I mean, It's already in the chat. Derek Harmon.
Good player, and they must feel good about Aaron Rodgers going to them. Or are they going to go back in, like you said?
I did this time last year, I was in a WeWork in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, because I did the Colorado spring game last year. And it was a show, right? And the offensive coordinator for Colorado spent a lot of time in the NFL. Pat Shurmur. We sat in his office on Friday morning. We met with Coach Prime, but we sat in his office and he's like, this guy's a top 5. Like he sees the game like a top 5, top 10 pick. Shador. But what's funny is Daniel Jeremiah was on my buddy Yogi Roth's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he made his comp. He wasn't saying he's like this guy, but he was just saying he's closer to like Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy than he is Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, those types of guys. Because he's not twitchy.
Yeah, and he's not like elite running, but he runs enough to get away to scramble.
When you spend his whole career, I asked Coach Prime in the meeting, I'm like, well, this is last year, before this last season. I was like, how is Shador better coming into this season than he was last year? And he was like, it's going to have a better offensive line. What did he end up doing, actually? Because Pat Shurmur said it in the meeting, like, if he's got to throw for 200 yards a game and we just run the ball, that's what we're going to do, which that's definitely not what happened, right?
No. So what question does Deion Sanders pose? Like, is he a problem that GMs are thinking about, or is he a factor, I guess, in the draft process for Shador, or is it the NFL and it's big boy league?
I think it's just Shador. Like, I don't think it's him. I don't think it's Deion that's a factor. I think there's a few factors. I think one, he's not a premium quarterback prospect. Some people obviously don't like him from the meeting, whatever. But that's clearly real. But he's just like, he might go in the second round. That's really good. You got a shot, you know? He might go at the end of the first round. So I think a lot of it, look at Jackson Dart. He hasn't been drafted.
Right.
So I don't know. But anyway, to answer your question, I don't think it's about Dion per se.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Dion's coaching his team.
So
is he going to call Pete Carroll and be like, "Hey, man"?
Yeah.
You know, like.
All right, if you're John Lynch, you're in the room with John Lynch, and Schlesinger is still there. You are submitting the green card for Schlesinger, right?
Give me Schlesinger.
Give me Schlesinger. All right, if Schlesinger is not there, who do you want? I mean, they could go back to the well at D-line. Let's say Josh Simmons is gone. Let's say some of these guys are gone, but you can go back double dip at D-line.
100%.
Deep D-line class.
Yeah, I am inclined. I said it while you were off editing that video. That like I would have no problem taking an edge right there. Like, so what that you just, or defensive tackle. But the reason it came up is because Oluwafemi Oladejo, his name came up. James Pierce going to be there?
You have to take him if he's there. Just before last season, like way too early mock draft, he was predicted to go number 1 in some draft boards. Obviously, he fell a bunch and he's still falling right now, but his size, his length, I think you have to take him if he's there. I mean, it would be maybe ludicrous to go two edges, but I mean, at value, why not?
The other one might be Landon Jackson from Arkansas.
Yep.
James Pierce, your classic though, like 30 or junior.
Yeah. So, productivity. It seems like the Niners went. There's like the intangibles of like his size, his talent, his athleticism versus like the tape or the production. Mikel, he looks good, but his production wasn't as good. And was that the ankle injury? We don't know. But they seem to go that route because Mikel Williams' pressure rate was amongst some of the lowest in the top 2 defensive linemen drafted that are going to be drafted or mocked to be drafted. And his pressure or his win percentage was also pretty low. So I guess they're like leaning on the tape and saying like, look, we can work with this guy. Chris Cassera can turn this guy into a winner.
And the intel, right?
Yeah.
Kirby Smart and Muschamp. Hey, by the way, tell me if you can hear this real quick. Let me can you hear this? You hear that or no?
No.
You can't hear that?
No.
I was just trying to play anything from the Niners website to see if we could watch that stream here live, but I guess the answer to that is no. There's got to be a way to do that, but I haven't figured that out.
So Mikel Williams' overall pressures at last year amongst available draftees was, so Abdul Carter led with 66, which is Nick Bosa comparable, 66 for Ohio State. Jack Sawyer, Ohio State, 64. Mikel Williams was 26th. Last on this list, and just above him is Kenneth Grant.
Interesting.
A lot of factors, missing time, being injured, really good defensive line.
Says he was 60. 60% feels real low. I'm like,
so if you do the math,
60%. Oh yeah,
it's a funny number too.
It is a funny. I never hear from 60%. Like 60% was like, who is 60%? Like, I mean,
so that was a D level performance out of him last year. So if that's D level,
60% is so low. That's too, like, no, you were not 60%.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that would be the hesitation. Maybe the slight concern is the production stats aren't quite there. Good defense at Georgia, 60%.
60%. Let me see here. Let me pull something up. What were you looking at for that? Was that a story, or were you just looking at PFF there?
I pulled earlier all the pressures and the percentages.
Oh, okay.
About the list, yeah.
I'm just trying to PFF is being. I'm trying to pull up some PFF comps here for old Mikel. All right, let's see. Might be a little tough here, but all right. Top. This is edge grades. Mike Green, number 1 grade. Abdul Carter, Josiah Stewart, Princely Amon Mielen. Oh, David Bailey, who just transferred to Texas Tech. Interesting prospect, by the way, from Stanford. Okay, let's go. What were you looking at? You were looking at hurries. Is that what it was?
Yeah, pressures, overall pressures.
Shamar Stewart had 33 hurries for being a guy that everyone said, I mean, the stats say he didn't get to the quarterback. 23rd. So you said 33. Here's 30 that has him. So that's, I mean, the numbers are close, right? Comparable. Let's look at. God, Mike Green's all over this list. J2 Tuimoloau. I'm looking at this list right now, just stops, just like. We're just looking around here. Abdul Carter, just hoping to find a list where Williams is like, top 10.
Top, yeah.
And then we'll use that list like, oh man, look at this.
Yeah, exactly. JT Tuimoloau for Ohio State. I think he's going to be a good pro. I think he had a lot of production. He's big. I think he's very talented, and I think early second he's going to be a good pick for the Browns.
The Niners had their live stream up, and it just went away. I wonder if they're not going to do it live, which I love watching it live. I mean, but I also respect, like, sometimes they do stuff not live because they want the people that are there in the building to get the first shot at it, which they deserve. But also in the era of content, like, get it out. James Pierce, same number of hurries as Abdul Carter, which led Power 4 football. Brady Swinson in there, 3rd round grade from LSU, but a 5th-year senior. David Walker, that was a guy the Niners brought in on a visit too, from Central Arkansas. Edge, talking edges here. All right. I think 2.5 hours. Do we want to? I'm just wondering. Well, let's see. If the Niners are not going to be live, then I would love to watch that press conference. But I think we may. Do we need to go the whole first round here? I may just shut this down for the time being, and may just do another video. Let's see what's going on here. Chargers are on the clock. Who do we got? Is there anything about to happen? Green Bay, Minnesota, Houston.
What do the Rams do?
What?
Anything in the division?
4 picks away. That's a good. That's a good question. So 4 picks away for the Rams. Would the like? Does McVay like do the Packer? Do you? I'm not saying this. I don't think it's the right players, but if the right quarterback is there, is it crazy to take a quarterback at 26? No. Let me rephrase it. It's not crazy to take a quarterback at 26 if you're the Rams. Now the problem is, does he want Jackson Dart?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if he does, but like if he likes I might consider doing that if I were the Rams. Like the last 2 years, it's been like, is this what's going on with Stafford? What's going on with Stafford?
I think that's.
But here's the thing: I don't like either one of these. I don't love either one of these quarterbacks. So I don't love Jackson Dart.
I mean, you're with house money here.
Put it this way: if out of the blue it turns out Sean McVay likes Shador Sanders, it would be the greatest thing that's ever happened to Shador Sanders' career.
Oh, LA,
but like more so, you'd be playing for Sean McVay, and I actually think like McVay needs a processor. And I think Shador is a processor. I know some people don't agree with that. But anyway,
do you think?
I don't think that's what's going to happen. But for that, in another year and another draft, like I would tell them to take a quarterback at 26.
I don't think I think that's actually a really good contingency plan for Stafford. Like you said, Stafford was rumored to go to the Giants, right? That was probably a bargaining chip for him to get re-signed by the Rams, but it's touch and go with Matt Stafford right now. Plus he's injured. Plus Kelly Stafford probably wants him full time at the house. So we can
No. You need him to stay on the Rams, and that's good for the podcast.
That's good. And sleep mattress one, whatever. But no, I think it would be a smart. You think it would be Jackson, or you think it would be Shador over Jackson Dart?
No, I don't think they're doing it. The counter argument to that would be you're paying the quarterback all this money. Now you have to be all in for trying to, go to a Super Bowl or whatever. Yeah. So you just draft, go O-line, protect him. Like you could say that. You could
replace,
You could definitely go linebacker. Like, was Jahad Campbell going to be there for them?
I mean, we know the Ravens are going to take Jahad Campbell if the Rams don't. He just seems like a Raven.
A comment here, or does Houston go Jahad?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do we have a Packers pick yet? These actually, God, all these picks are in. You're like, every time I'm like, well, we don't need it. All these picks are interesting.
So
Omari and Hampton to the Chargers, running back North Carolina, Harbaugh. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean the Jim Harbaugh got his running back. He got his bell cow. He beefed up O-line. He's probably running the same sort of. He was going to take Loveland if he was there, of course. He was not going to be there. But Harbaugh's. It's cool to see, or kind of maybe sad, but Harbaugh builds his team in one way. He did the same thing with Michigan, right? Beef up the line, offensive line, defensive line. It worked. Worked with the Niners. And now he's doing it with the Chargers. Interesting though, running back early. Interesting.
That's our boy.
I mean, the two high safety running backs are back on the come up, so running backs are getting more value now.
Yeah, I mean, if they're good enough, So,
all right, Will Johnson is still there. Did the 49ers trade back in for Will Johnson?
I say no. Interesting theory, though, or idea.
Trading, yeah. If they were to make a trade back in, who do you think they would be targeting?
Offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Is that Mikel interview going up?
Yeah.
Export. You're exporting. Takes a minute. Uploading. Yep. Exporting and uploading. Hampton can catch. Simmons. Yeah, I think all these comments cover your face, Connor. I just always, the thing that Kyle Shanahan said last year that I will remember as long as Kyle Shanahan is drafting is just that they don't, they're not going with offensive linemen they don't love. If they don't love the offensive lineman, they're not taking him. So it's like, oh, he's kind of a toolsy guy, or we need this position. They're just not going to do it, especially when they know they can go get a guard in the third round. But so that would be like, if they're moving back in, it's because they think there's one offensive lineman they really like, and they got to move back up to get him. But do you do that for Josh Simmons and his injury? after the experience you had with Javon Kinlaw?
I think they get scarred in the past, and I don't think no. But I mean, again, where would Josh Simmons play next year? Would he go? Could he play guard? I don't.
First of all, he's not like he's
or is he playing next year?
Yeah, he's not ready to roll right away. And we know you end up like this team needs more than 5 offensive linemen anyway. You know the guy that's Donovan Jackson played guard and tackle last year for Ohio State. You know what's a shame is their center, Seth McLaughlin, won the Remington Award despite playing like 8 guys. He tore his Achilles. I'm pretty sure it was his Achilles. Like, again, can you take that guy? If it was a torn Achilles for a center? Is that what it was? That's right. For some reason, that's what I had in my head. Oh, it was an ankle. No, it was a torn Achilles. It was a torn Achilles. What is this? Out for the season due to torn Achilles. Yeah. Oof.
So yeah, I mean, McKivitz is a free agent next year, and yeah, I guess you could go back in and grab Simmons before the Chiefs are guaranteed. They're going to draft Simmons. The Chiefs are just going to take Simmons.
I love that prediction.
But do you take him, put him on the shelf, and then if he starts to work in and maybe he's better than McKivitz, plays right tackle, left tackle, I don't know. Maybe that's what they want to do.
I don't think you worry at all about McKivitz. If you were to take Josh Simmons, McKivitz probably just plays right, starts the season at right tackle, and then we've seen the Niners rotate at guard before. Would they rotate at tackle? Not rotate, but you know what I mean? Just like develop. I don't think you worry about it. If you think the injury is not an issue, which of course you can't fully think it's not an issue, but if you like the guy, you don't not. Here's the point. Sorry, we're both multitask. You don't not draft him because you're like, well, what do we do with Colton McKivitz? Like, if you like the guy and you think he's going to be Trent Williams' replacement, then you draft him.
And you play him.
Yeah, but he's not going to be healthy to start the season anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would doing this mini rebuild, that pick would sort of, reassure the fan base. Like, we do have a plan for the future. We understand Trent Williams is playing year by year. So
yeah, I will say this. I know you don't mean it this way, but I will say this. Like, I would spend zero time reassuring the fan base of anything if I were a general.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the fan.
I know that's not what I know that's not what you're saying, but like reassuring the fan base. If you spend your time trying to reassure the fan base, you're just going to always swing and miss.
I mean, they'd have a couple Super Bowls according to Twitter. So,
hey, I'm on Twitter.
Exactly.
Mikel. All right, Packers. Who'd the Packers take?
Golden.
Okay. So number 2 receiver. I still think another receiver is going to go.
Luther Burden.
Yep. I mean, it's a pretty good first round for like if he goes, that's 4. Would the Rams? Oh, your Rams question is a really good one. Benali asked if the Niners were going to move in, would they have already done the presser? I mean, that was a good observation by whoever said it. Something could fall in your lap. But if they were trying to trade back already, allegedly, although somebody said that on CanBR, they said John Lynch said he was trying to trade up. Every GM is king of that, though. Like, man, we would have taken this guy at 6. Like, yeah, we're trying to trade back on Ricky, but we would have taken Pearsall at 7 if we were up there.
I mean, I think every GM had Mahomes. They were going to take Mahomes.
I know one that wasn't.
Uh,
All right, I was going to go look at the Rams. All right, Vikings are on the clock. Could the Vikings? I'm just insane. Could the Vikings trade J.J. McCarthy and draft a quarterback? No, you don't do that. Hey, by the way, while we've got a moment, I said it earlier, but thanks again to. Have you been to Puesto, Connor? Puesto Mexicano Moderno, the new slogan. Southern California, it's Orange County, San Diego, Bay Area, Santa Clara, and Concord. The place is awesome. It's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to drink and eat. The vibe is fantastic. The food is off the charts. The drinks are really good. I mean, it's just such good food. Fantastic tacos. Short rib quesadilla taco. They got they have nailed the like crispy and melted cheese. Somehow it's both. The filet mignon. Connor's going to get a meal here at Puesto coming up. The lobster tacos, the margarita. It's all so good. If you're watching, you are watching, hit the QR code, go check out the menu. Highly recommend. The Adler brothers are Niner fans, big Niner fans. So think about creating a restaurant, and then you get that restaurant inside your favorite football team stadium. They've got 2 Puesto locations in Levi Stadium. If you're going to Padres games, they have a location at what's it called?
Petco.
Yeah. So check it out. It's fantastic. All right. Thank you to Puesto. Thank you to the Adler Bros. Oh, and in the description, there is a link for Cometeer Coffee. It's not an ad. I just want you to use the link, and then I'll get free coffee, or maybe we'll get an ad out of them. But it's fantastic coffee. So go check it out. It's like little frozen pods. It's brewed, so it's like you can make it instantly, but it's real good coffee, not instant. And you just pour it in. All right. Vikings on the clock. Who should draft Shador? That's actually a good way to ask the question. Who should draft Shador? Oops.
I mean, if he's there for the Browns in early round 2, right?
I know. It's just like he would need to sit this year. Fine.
Or do the Steelers? I mean, right now the Steelers quarterback is Mason Rudolph on paper.
Yeah, good point. The Steelers should draft Shador.
So, even if you do bring in Rodgers, right? Rodgers, he said on McAfee, he's like, I don't mind. I can.
Oh, my.
Yeah, like they bring in Rodgers and Shador.
Rodgers said, I don't mind what?
I don't mind mentoring, or I want to be mentor.
Mentoring anybody or mentoring Shador? Does Shador want to be mentored by Aaron Rodgers? That would be an incredible quarterback room.
Oh, that's right up Mike Tomlin's alley.
That's just Mike Tomlin goes from like overbearing receiver rooms to overbearing quarterback rooms.
Oh, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell out, and Aaron Rodgers and Shador Sanders, and then that would be.
I mean, honestly, there's how many teams period are going to take a quarterback with the intent? Like, it's one thing when you take a guy in the 4th round, but total, there's 32 teams in the league. How many teams would consider taking a quarterback in the 2nd round? Cleveland, just forget about who the quarterbacks are. Cleveland, the Giants, Tennessee, no. Jacksonville, no. Raiders, you'd have to say the Raiders. I mean, like, let's just say there's whatever, right? Raiders, yes. New England, no. Chicago, no. Jets, yes.
Yes.
Dallas, no. Indy, no. Atlanta, no. Arizona, no. Miami, no. Cincinnati, no. Seattle, no. Denver, no. Tampa, no. Green Bay, no. Chargers, Bills, Panthers, Texans, Ravens, Lions, Washington, Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly. So there's only 4 teams that would take any quarterback.
Are we so sure about the Dolphins too? Maybe not. Maybe being out of that list.
Yeah, I also think if there was a quarterback you loved in Tampa, you would take it. But
So yeah, I mean, the last question is, does one of those teams go in and say, all right, we've waited this long, it's pick number 31, let's go back in and get him, fifth-year option.
Yep.
So I think that's the only thing is and that this draft honestly can use a little buzz.
So it always is at the end of the first round. Last year was less buzzy by this time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I mean that was. Yeah.
There goes Donovan Jackson. It's a good pick. Oh, Giants.
So Giants just traded back in Jackson Dart. That's who's getting picked. I have not. That's a prediction. That's not. I haven't seen it yet, but I think the Giants are back in for Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Who is it? 25, Green Bay. How about Donovan Jackson, man? Like that guy. Ohio State winning the national championship this year was pretty incredible. Their Remington Award Center got hurt. There was going to be a top 10, top 12 pick left tackle got hurt. Donovan Jackson moves from guard to left tackle at the mid-October against Oregon, and it just like they won the national title. That's awesome. Good for them.
I think when you talked about it last week or the week prior, but when you spoke to Ryan Day and he said we train everyone 2 positions because we want the best talent on the field.
Yeah,
it goes to show Donovan Jackson's versatility, and they just were the best team, one of the best offensive lines. That's a good. Ryan Day gets a lot of hate, but that's a really good coaching tactic.
Yeah, he calls it. I'm going to turn on some volume here, just because. Like, is this going to be Shador or Jackson Dart? My prediction is Jackson Dart, but primary and secondary is what Ohio State. You have a primary offensive line position and a secondary position, and because the thing you're talking about is I did the Ohio State spring game, and Ryan Day's point was, why would I, if my number 2 tackle is my 8th best guy, why am I putting my 8th best guy instead of my 7th or my 6th best guy in? Let's train somebody else. Let's train multiple positions, guard and tackle. Where is my?
We just saw
the shorts.
The best coach in the NFL did that with Joe Tooney. Moved him from guard to tackle. It didn't really work out in the Super Bowl, but he was needed on the field, and left tackle was a bigger need at the point. So I think it's a really, really good tactic. So Ohio State lineman is what we're saying.
Jackson Dart is the pick.
You're right. You were right.
Oops, I didn't mean to put that in there. Yep, there you go, Jackson Dart.
What's your take on Jackson Dart?
I'm not a huge fan.
Lane Kiffin's offense, his
Lane's offense. One cheek eye black.
Yeah, I hate that.
Like, come on,
ladies'
baby.
Man.
You're a quarterback. But Dayball. Everyone always gets so angry about anonymous scout quotes. And I never get angry about anonymous scout quotes. First of all, they are never, ever going on the record, ever. So don't give me like they put it on the record. Like, no, that's what have you ever heard a scout be like, oh, did you see what that scout said before the draft about that prospect? So it always cracks me up. Like, I would rather have the intel, anonymous intel, than no intel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is like, it's interesting. It's not always right. I think about all the people in your life. If you did, it's not just 30, but let's just say you did 30, let's say you did 40 interviews, 50 interviews, right? Because you do a few multiple interviews, whatever. And they're like 50, especially the ones that are 15 minutes long. Somebody is going to come away from that not liking you. Maybe not you, Connor, because you're extremely likable. But the odds that like somebody will be like, I met Guy for 15 minutes, he was kind of a dick, are 100%. They're 100%. Now, that said, what if you said like, yeah, dude, but they're job interviews. It's not just somebody you bump into. They're like, I met Guy and he was kind of a dick. Or I worked with him and he was kind of a dick. Like there's 100% chance we could find multiple people that feel that way. So whatever, that's life. Like I don't care. It's just the way it is. Sometimes people don't get along, whatever. But that doesn't invalidate the information. The fact that it's anonymous does not invalidate. Everyone wants to talk like the fact that it's anonymous invalidates it. No, it doesn't. It does not invalidate it. So whatever. It doesn't mean, it also doesn't mean it's correct. Doesn't mean it turns out to be right. And I saw Kyle Brandt's thing from NFL Network. He was like, well, we don't know the energy that person who had the anonymous quote about Shador the other day brought to the room. True. 100% true. Prejudge a guy, act like a dick to the guy acts like a dick to you, and it confirms what you already believed. But this, like the part that this is not just a Shador take. It's every year it happens. There's anonymous reports about somebody, and people are like, that's not right. Like, okay, well, you go ahead and ignore that information. I'm not going to ignore that information.
Well, with those anonymous reports, how often would you say that? I mean, is it sometimes the team that wants him leaks that stuff?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And that's the game that's played. Anonymous scout leaks this, anonymous report about, so-and-so's character, so-and-so's doesn't think he can translate to the NFL. So I think it's all part of the cat and mouse game that goes on every single year.
Falcons are trading back into round one. Scouting report on guy. Decent arm, poor mobility, kind of a dick. Yeah, accurate. Poor mobility, accurate. Lacks lateral quickness. For sure. And straight line speed. And size, physicality. Doesn't like physical for his size. That would be my physical for his size. Scrappy. Yeah, I mean, like, who isn't? 100% of the Shador hype is his last name. Disagree. Like, there's not that many quarterbacks. Who's a quarterback I like in this draft? Is there one? I don't think there is. Like, as in, like, you're looking for a starter in the next 2 years. Like, okay. It's different if you're like, oh, well, Dylan Gabriel. Like, I like Dylan Gabriel. But, I mean, Will Howard's interesting. But in terms of the guys that are, like, first or second rounders, Tyler Shuck, I wouldn't draft him thinking I'm about to get a starter.
Kyle McCord.
Sure.
Backup.
All right. Who's Atlanta taking?
Well, they need D-line, right? They cannot sack the quarterback every single year. They partially answered that, right, with Jalen Walker. What do they do when they come back in? Campbell?
Oh, you know what? I could go to the best available here. James Pierce.
Double up.
Yeah, they could go Campbell.
Mike Green is following a lot.
Oh, dude. I know where Mike Green's going. Who did you say the Chiefs are taking?
Wait, what did you say?
I said, who did you say that he's either going to Philly
or?
Although I don't think he's going to Philly. He's either Kansas City. He's going to. I mean, he's got to go to Kansas City, right? Or Baltimore, maybe.
Yeah. It's Josh Simmons will go to one of those teams, and it's going to piss me off.
Maybe Washington. I guess Purdy didn't get traded to Pittsburgh for 21.
Could you imagine? Aaron Rodgers comes out of his sleep and he's the 49er.
Hold on. Well, back 10 seconds. What was Jackson Dart just wearing? I've never understood glasses. Back 15 seconds. Like, people who don't really need glasses wear glasses because it's like a fashion accessory. People like me who need glasses wear contacts. Never wear. Like, I'm never putting glasses on. They're just annoying. Is that Jackson Dart's mom? Looks like she could bench like 180 55 times. She's jacked.
Let's see.
Dad's got a Daboll.
Oh, wow.
Dad and Daboll are going to bond.
Yep. Bald head.
That's definitely his brother, right?
Yeah.
What's his brother's name? Like, his brother's got a sweet name. What's his brother's name?
I do not like his outfit.
Diesel.
But, you know.
Diesel Dart.
Diesel?
Yeah, that's his brother's name.
Diesel Dart. All right. The Giants quarterback room: Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito.
Bro, there's gonna be so many picks thrown in camp.
That's the worst talent, but most entertainment of a quarterback room I think maybe ever created.
Comment says Pierce. That would make sense. I wear hard contacts and I would kill to wear glasses. What are hard contacts? Are those contacts left over from 1995? What are hard contacts? Wait a second. Who Atlanta traded out with the Rams, right?
No, Houston.
Where are the Rams? They trade out with the Giants?
Rams traded with the Giants, and I think
okay.
Or I might have that backwards.
One of yeah. Okay, Rams are gone. That's too bad. Jackson Dart was Houston. Atlanta traded. What did they get? What did the Rams get? Yeah, Rams. Okay, so Pierce to Falcons, have to wear them due to eye condition. I've T's and P's, man. That I'm in the daily game. Hard plastic. Wow.
Ooh.
Huh.
Rams get the 2026 first.
What?
Wait, let me make sure that's accurate. What?
Let me mess with this here.
All right, Falcons get pick 26 and a third round pick. Rams get second round pick this year, 2026 first, and a seventh this year for Pierce. Yeah.
I'm gonna mess with this real quick, Connor.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so now Baltimore has their shot at the linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I think it's going to go the rest of I think it's going to be Campbell from Alabama. Just feels like a Raven. It feels like the Eagles go Georgia guys and the Ravens go Bama guys, and they just get studs and they follow these guys every single year. And then the Lions need to address D-line. So maybe the Lions go Mike Green, two really good edges, Aiden Hutchinson, Mike Green. The Commanders, two schools of thought, right? Do you go all in? Do you take like a offensive? Do you take Josh Simmons there? I mean, they just traded for Larry Tunsil, so probably not. Or do you go defense? That's also another need. And then the Commanders are starting to become a problem, and they were last year, but it's now like Lions and Commanders are kind of the same. Eagles are a tier above, and the 49ers are somewhere between that in my eyes.
Here's what I'll say about that is like rookie quarterback instant success. I always like CJ Stroud. You just, yeah, I agree. Like I would be, if Jaden Daniels was my quarterback, I would be so fired up right now. Right. But I also think what happens a lot is like that team can get elevated a little too far up year two. Yeah, so let's just see. Like, is that guy going to really take that step?
Sophomore slump, yeah.
Not even slump. Just like, you go from. If I told you before last year, by year Washington's going to win 11 games in year two, and like lose in the wild card round or something, you'd be like, incredible success, right? Like, wow, that they nailed that pick. But now they're going to be like, a NFC Championship pick, and that just might be a little much. That's all.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Again, I'd be so fired up, but I'm not ready to go like Washington's a problem. But they're a contender for sure, no doubt about that. But are they like, look out, they're a problem? NFC's wide open.
Yeah. Yeah, and the tush push is going to get banned.
Are we sure about that?
No, I don't think so.
I thought that before, but I'm not so sure anymore.
Well, I think it probably would have been done in the owners' meetings, right? I know there's still a chance, but
there's still a chance.
Or maybe that was introduce it and then you go and do all the politics after it's introduced. But yeah, the Lions. I wonder. They got to go defense. Commanders. I'd say given this defensive line group is so deep, I'd assume they go defense. The Bills, I don't know. Are the Bills good at drafting? Besides Josh Allen, I don't.
Could they go Mike Green?
Yeah, maybe they go Mike Green. Rousseau's like not that great. Von Miller, he's washed.
Do you like either the Iowa State receiver? Would you take a receiver in the second round if you were the Niners?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so, but I do like Higgins from Iowa State.
Yeah.
There's no overlap with Purdy, right? That was too far ago.
I don't think so, but it wasn't. I mean, it's definitely possible, especially with some of these COVID year guys.
I wouldn't. I'd try to address the defense again, or if you like an offensive lineman.
I'm with you.
But the Brandon Ayuk, coming back week 6 at this point. I mean, Juwan Jennings is phenomenal. Was phenomenal last year. I guess how much do they think Ricky? Like, I guess I don't think they will, because I think they're going to defend the Ricky Pearsall pick from last year. They trust it. They know it's the right pick. But this team. No, I'm gonna say no. This team's gonna address the trenches. They've done that before.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. It would seem a little crazy to me. All right. Noah was a freshman. Yeah. We got the beat on the Iowa State scouting reports if that happens. So we'll keep an eye on that. I like them. I did an Iowa State Kansas game last year, and I like Iowa State. All right, Ravens on the clock. Pick is in. Who'd the Ravens take? We got somebody that Bills are mediocre at drafting. The Packers. The Packers are. Oh, wait a second. That's old. Oh. Ravens pick is in, and Jordan Schultz doesn't have it. Who we got? Who's tipping this pick? Come on, Jordan. D-line, O-line, linebacker before receiver. I agree. We're good there. And, I mean, you can do all three of those things and still take a pretty good receiver if you wanted to. Who's the pick? Oh, Malachi Starks. Okay. God, the Ravens. Like, if you just went off, be like, do the Ravens only have safeties and linebackers? Never change. All right. I mean, Georgia, dude. These guys. Okay, now we got Lions. Jordan Schultz only 60% sure of the pick. Yeah, he was a little late on that one. He was working, doing other stuff. You know, Max Brosmer is my late round quarterback for the Niners. I don't think I would not take a quarterback if I were the Niners, in part because they have so much success even late with other positions. You know, be an interesting late. This is not for tomorrow, but Jonah Monheim from SC, center, offensive center. I mean, if you told me right now that Niners go edge, linebacker, guard tomorrow, I'd feel pretty good about that. Lions go corner. That's the guess there. Oh yeah, you go Will Johnson. Guy with soft tissue injury playing on turf. Don't love. Lions pick is in. Schultz is like off doing other stuff and not tipping. Who else has got these picks? You want? Hope you get. Tommy says, hope they get one of the UCLA defensive guys. So I wonder if are you including Jay Toya in that? Probably not. Not for round 2. Swessinger, Olufemi, Oladejo. Bunch of people reporting green to the Lions. Whoa! Look at the Ravens. They should not have. That draft board is pretty visible on TV. That's not. I mean, it's not their actual. It's just like a list, but you never see that. If that was on the NFL Network, the Goodell hug is just. The Goodell hugs have gotten so crazy. Goodell's got to be sore after the draft from all the hugging. Good comment there that I'm not going to put on the screen. All right, come on. There we go. Watch this. What time does the Niners do not play the Ravens? By the way, that's the other thing. Is like, who do the not? We obviously know the divisional games. Who we got here? Niners get Atlanta, Carolina, Chicago, Saints, Giants, Bucks. Actually, I should do this by home games. So the home games are Atlanta, Carolina, Chicago, Jacksonville, Tennessee. Okay. Gonna get Cam Ward. That'll be interesting. Like a week 1 game at home. Niners, Titans, week 1. That'd be fun. Road games, Saints, Giants. Love that. Hopefully Jackson, you get Jackson Dart there. Bucks, Browns, Texans, Colts. So I mean, it'll be interesting. Like you get, whatever. You nitpick and like get the Jags early. Before they figured out what to do with Travis Hunter. Tyler Warren and the Colts, you defend him. Some interesting when you look at it through the draft. You kind of happy the Bears, Bears and Loveland. So you got to have to defend tight ends this year in those 2 games. That's kind of interesting. That's cool. You're going to play like Jalen Walker and James Pierce. Woo-hoo-hoo! I mean, Atlanta's draft, you have to play both those guys. So Jalen Walker pissed off against you when you play Atlanta. You're going to play Tetaroa, McMillan, and Carolina. So you got to defend Tetaroa. You got to defend Loveland. You got to defend Tyler Warren. The draft has actually made the Niners' schedule a little more interesting. Sorry, who did I just missed a pick. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State to the Lions. Yeah, you get Penix. I mean, if the Niners aren't. When we talk about the window, actually winning the Super Bowl and going to the NFC Championship game is one thing. But I mean, guys, even with all that's gone wrong even with all the changes, away games, the Niners are going to be favored in. Forget about their divisional games. The other 11 games, my prediction right now is they're going to be favored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. 9 of the 11. I'll predict. I mean, now, and where the game falls and what if the game falls later, it could, but like, if the game were week 1 in Tampa, I'm saying Houston and Tampa are favored. And honestly, the Niners could be favored against Tampa and make it 10 of the 11 games they're favored in. I just think when we talk about like the championship window, I think people talk about the championship window like it's also a conversation about how many games they could win this year. Like, they're rebuilding, championship window's closed, it's an 8-win, 9-win team. It's like, oh, hold on. Championship window can be closed and you win a bunch of games. But you're not good enough to really, we've seen how hard it is to win a Super Bowl or to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying you can win a bunch of games and that makes you a Super Bowl contender, but it just kind of does. Because if you win a bunch of games, you get, maybe you get home field in a game, you go on the road, so let's just, there's 12 wins there. There's now, are they going to win 12? Probably not, but there's 11 wins there. Like I think they're a playoff team is the point this year. Is that the standard? Aren't we about chasing trophy Lombardis? Of course, but I think a lot of upside there. Let me just do something here. Where are we at here? Washington. Connor, if you can hear me, I just made a little change there. Commanders taking Josh Connerly. Okay. Drew Aller. Wando says Drew Aller, Arch Manning. I'm going to go with extremely strong disagree on that one. Now, I haven't seen Arch Manning really. I mean, we haven't really seen Arch Manning. Murray says, I think Shanahan will be licking his chops over Travion Henderson, but he'll go too high for us. Agree. Here's the thing about Travion Henderson. When I was at Ohio State 2 weeks ago, they told me I think he's the best blitz pickup running back in the country last year. Pressure, just blocking, not lead block, obviously, but just like protector running back. Best protection running back in the country last year. Bills, Chiefs, Eagles. Somebody going to move up and take Shador? Yeah, I would love. Do I still have this available to look at? The running back big board here. As you can see, there's my scouting report on Travion Henderson. So Hampton's gone. Caleb Johnson from Iowa is just a absolute battering ram. I actually like some of these guys later. There's some more scouting report. I don't think they're taking him. He's been a 4.6. 4.65 for Scataboo, by the way. RJ Harvey's interesting from UCF. Not sure he can protect well enough, though. That'd be the concern there. And that's, you cannot get on the field if you can't protect. I mean, how high is Josh Simmons going to go at this point? Let's go look at our tackles. On the Miro board. So we just said Connerly's gone, right? Ursery. Jackson's gone. Membu's gone. Will Campbell's gone. Connerly's gone. And I just could go Belton later. Or Ursery in the second. Would Josh Simmons go high second round? If you like him, if the medical's good, and why wouldn't you? But it is alarming. It is alarming. And you just don't know yet what. I can't wait to hate this Chiefs pick here coming up. I just want to, I would happily go back defensive line. Do we have a tip yet on this pick? Bill's pick is not yet in. Good pick, Connerly. Dan Lanning is there at his house, hanging out. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's just such an obvious Chiefs pick. Now, let's say the Chiefs don't do that. What else would they do? I don't think they'd go back receiver in the first round. I mean, they wouldn't go tight end here. I wouldn't rule them out, but I don't think they'd go receiver here. They'd go O-line. Right, let's skip the Bills pick. Let's get to the Chiefs pick. Yeah, I mean, the Simmons. They probably wouldn't go O-line, actually. I mean, yeah, it's Mike Green makes a lot of sense, even if it's not just kind of a tongue-in-cheek Chiefs pick. Jack Sawyer is there, productive. Where do they pick? That's right. Chiefs already have future All-Pro and Jalen Moore. Where do they pick again? Do they have? They do have 63. They don't pick high in the second round. I mean, I'm sure they would happily trade out. What you got?
You know the Chiefs are going to take Josh Simmons.
Take Josh Simmons or Mike Green?
Oh, I guess Mike Green. Mike Green would also make sense.
Is that other video good to go?
Yep, it's uploaded. Check it out.
Okay, good to publish.
It's up.
Do you want me to? Oh, you already did it. Okay, cool. So I'll just, for anybody jumping in here who missed it earlier, we talked to a guy named Jordan. Jordan covers Georgia football and gave us the insider scouting report on Mikel Williams. And that video is now up. So go check that out if you want to check that out. It's there. Jordan Hill from Dogs 247. Let me see. Can I put that in the chat here? I think I can. If you missed that. All right. Bill's pick is in. Chiefs wouldn't go receiver, would they?
Would they go Luther? I mean, that would be the only receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so. I think Jalen Moore, right? I mean, they paid him, but that was such a problem for them.
Did the Eagles flipped picks with the Chiefs?
I hate both. I hate both those teams so much.
So much, dude. I just hate what they're. I just hate what they're about to do. Whatever it is, I'm already mad about it.
Oh my! Like I don't even. Nothing would make me happy. I mean,
that's right. No matter they could draft some 8th grader. You'd be like, oh my god, how'd they get it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say they could draft Javon Kinlaw and be like, he's gonna work out.
Yeah.
They could draft AJ Jenkins. He's going to be a star with Patrick Mahomes.
Maxwell Harrison, cornerback, Kentucky, 4.28 40.
All right.
1.5 second, 10-yard split, burst and speed show on tape. Matt Miller's pro comp, Dax Hill.
Well, you said Maxwell Harrison, allegations. Let me just, now that we're doing some research, right? You know how this goes.
Yeah. So the allegation, I had him as he was crossed off my Niner board.
Yeah. There are some allegations against him, and I'm not going to dive into details. Fans can look into it, but I guess it makes sense. The Eagles don't really seem to care about stuff like that. They go talent over character.
No, this is Bills.
Oh, Bills. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is the Bills pick. Sorry.
Yeah.
But now the door is open.
My point remains. That's still the case for the Eagles.
Could the Eagles go? What are the Eagles going to do? Has
all right, Eagles lost Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Darius Slay, Chauncey, Gardner Johnson, and
they're going to go.
So
are they going to go
Will Johnson?
No.
They're going to Will Johnson.
That's that. I'm with you on that.
Who's banged up? He's banged up.
Yeah, but and he'd remain banged up if the Niners drafted him. But if the Eagles draft him, he's going to get healthy.
Exactly.
I
mean, or do they go Mike Green?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the two. Okay, it's like that's a guess. Both of these teams at the bottom, it's just like, then the Chiefs go Will Johnson. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Either one. Like that combination here at the end is just.
And we knew
this. Yeah, or I wondered about Jihad Campbell. That's the other one you wonder about.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was going to go to the Ravens, but Malachi Starks also makes sense for the Ravens. Him and Kyle Hamilton back in the backfield is pretty special.
Bro, how mad would you be about this, though?
Oh,
if the Eagles
I think you'd be more mad.
Oh,
I think you'd be more mad.
Philly would love a Schlesinger Cooper DeJean combo, though.
Yeah.
Exciting whites.
Exactly. Exciting whites, and then up front they have
Jihad.
Davis,
I mean, now, but here's the thing, though. They're not moving up for a UCLA linebacker when there's an Alabama linebacker available.
No. Yeah.
Jihad Campbell. That's the pick. I trust the chat on this one. Yeah.
That's right. Jordan Schultz.
Ari, damn it. Yeah. And of course, it's just like Howie does it again. How does Howie keep doing it?
Yep. I mean, two of the last three drafts, these guys have fallen right to his lap. Jalen Carter, I still don't know why the Bears didn't take Jalen Carter. They picked some horrible offensive linemen, and they had Jalen Carter right in their lap. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago.
Comment, day 2 of Shador's draft party going to be lit. All right, and who's Kansas City taking here? Now they take Mike Green, right?
They're taking Mike Green. Yeah, that's. I bet.
So Will Johnson's just going to be a second-round pick,
and Josh Simmons.
All right. So who are the best players? Who are the best? Forget about injury risk, whatever. The best players
still available.
Yeah, Luther Burden.
Will Johnson. Josh Simmons.
JT Tuimoloau. Travion Henderson. Still some like it's too bad James Pierce went. How about I was going through the schedule when you were gone. Falcons. I mean, there's a lot of the Niners schedule is kind of more interesting from a rookie standpoint now. Just all the guys play the Falcons, play Tetairoa McMillan, play Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren. Who else?
Wait,
I mean, Mike Green's
That's right. They play the AFC South. Tyler Warren.
I mean, I said the Niners are going to be favored in 9 of their 11 non-divisional games. And it could be 10. I said won't be favored against Tampa, and at Houston. But could easily be favored at Tampa.
Yeah, just seeing how the season goes. What do you think Vegas sets the Niners win line at?
I'm sure it's set.
Is it already
10.5?
I was
11.5. Well, yeah. What's the night? Win total 10.5. Yeah, I'm gonna
hammer the over.
To me,
hammer the over. I mean, look, you have AFC South and the NFC South. If they don't if they go 7 out of 8, right?
Yeah, go 3-3 let's just say 3-3 in the division.
Okay. I mean, that's, I think 3-3, right? And then there's 3 wins. You sweep the AFC, you sweep the NFC South. You are better than every single NFC South team. 7 wins. And then you play the Browns and the Giants.
Just don't. Yeah.
So there's 2 more wins
but there's some weird like second
9
East Coast trip game. You know what I mean? There's always some weird ass game that Mac Jones has to start.
Yeah. If you go 9, when Brock Purdy's holdout goes into week 2. you go 500 in division and you take care of business in the NFC South and beat the Browns, beat the Giants. You are at 9 wins. There's no reason this team should not sniff, should not be, depending on what the schedule is, should not win all of those games.
To me, like they got a real shot at 11 wins. I don't apologize for that, or like Homer. Just look at the schedule. Eagles. I didn't see what they got. What are you gonna say?
Just keep CMC healthy. Yeah, agreed.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean if you wanted to bet against that, fine. The Chiefs are staying at 32, expecting offensive line help for Mahomes, is what Schultz said. So, I mean, would it be Simmons? Would it be who's the best offensive lineman, not Simmons, available right now? Oh, you know what? ESPN has another, instead of me searching through the draft board. So, Ursery or Simmons. Last year, remember, Niner fan people, some people were Jonas Savaiinaea, who like a couple of years ago thought he was going to be a top 15 pick. Tate Rutledge from Georgia. Remember we were talking about him earlier.
Yep. I wonder if it's Ursery.
Last year, everyone was like, you let him get Kingsley. Okay. This will be telling if they go tackle and they take Ursery over Simmons. That'll be pretty telling about what people think of the Simmons injury.
That's a good point. What
were you going to say?
Because the Chiefs, Brett Veach has all the leash in the world, right? Super Bowls and everything. They can make whatever pick they want, and if they skip on him, then that is red flags.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue for them like just take what you think is the sure thing. Like you just need to upgrade. You don't need to. You're not replacing Trent Williams here. Just protect Mahomes better.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl, they're going online. I mean, I have to.
I will be annoyed if they get Simmons.
Prepare yourself.
I'm prepared to be annoyed for sure.
Yeah, I think guys, you were asked about guys you like later in the rounds or maybe second round. We've talked about this. You watch him play. Ty Robinson, the guy out of Nebraska, 6'5", 310.
Yeah.
They got the edge. Maybe they go third round. They get grabbed in the middle. A guy I love, he's injured though. Riley Mills out of Notre Dame was, Al Golden said, is a heart and soul of the defense. He's huge, but he is injured. He's got JJ Watt kind of written all over him. He's just a huge body, but he tore his ACL against, I think it was Indiana in the first round of the playoffs for Notre Dame. So, but I love those guys if they want to beef up the middle, right? They need to get back with Justin Smith, the Cowboy.
You're a Ty Robinson guy, huh?
Really like Ty Robinson.
Okay. I wonder if he knows Brock
from Arizona.
Yeah, he's old because he's older.
Let's see where he went to high school.
Don't worry about that. Go ahead. So make the other point you're going to make. I'll look it up.
All right. So the question is, all right, at this point, the Niners dress D-line, right? First round. Where else? Let's say they dress some more. Maybe they get another tackle, defensive tackle. Where else do they draft? Where do you think they draft going forward for the rest of their picks?
I'm sorry. Tell me who. After what pick? Just starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow, yeah. What do you think
I think go D-line at least 2 more times. If not 3. I wouldn't be shocked if they always get like a corner, a nickel, a safety, something in that range. Like they are going to need another safety. Yeah. Like the Jair Brown thing is just kind of, I wouldn't say it's chugging along. Chiefs took Josh Simmons.
Yes.
How do the Chiefs and the Eagles pick 31 and 32 and just laugh at everybody every year? Again, like Kingsley, whatever, last year. And the Worthy, remember, everyone was like, oh, they got Worthy. And then it's whatever. But
yeah.
Anyway. So I think at least 2 more defensive linemen, if not 3. Like that'd be fine. At least 1 offensive lineman, more likely a guard than a tackle, but maybe a tackle. So how many how many picks are Niners have left? 10?
10.
Okay. So I've got, let me do this math here.
2 more linemen, defensive linemen.
All right. So I'm going.
Sorry, 9 picks.
9? I thought they had 11. They had 10 picks?
10.
10 picks. Okay. So I'm going 2 DL. I'm going 1. We'll just go conservative here. 1 OL. 1. I think it's actually, I'm going to be more specific. I think it's going to be a corner. So that's 4. Oh, duh. I actually don't have great receiver depth. I think another linebacker. Was that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I still got 3 more picks. Let's see what we're not going to do. We're not going to do QB. We're not going to do that's really the only thing you're not going to. Oh, we'll go tight end. I feel like I got to add another offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So make that 2. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What do you think? What am I missing here?
No, I would, again, I would be happy with that. Just multiple picks on the line, I think is such.
Yeah, they got 11 picks. We got another pick.
They do?
Yeah. Here.
Okay. 11 picks. I'm on NFL.com.
This is what they forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, I mean, maybe it's 2 DBs. Or just best players available. More O-line.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. 1 more of anything, 1 more of everything.
1 more of everything.
There you go. All right. Again, if you missed the Mikel Williams Insider Scouting Report, just click on the main page, and it'll be there. It's already up. Connor got that thing turned around, and we'll have more reactions to tomorrow's picks as well. Anything else? Any final words from you?
I mean, Niners went with, I think, the safe pick ish, right? Like they didn't swing for Jalen Walker. Yeah, I mean, Robert Hall is back. They're addressing the defensive line. So I hope he pans. Like, what do you want? 7 sacks out of him? 5 sacks? What do you think is a good rookie number?
I just want hurries, and I want him to help stop the run. If you told me right now, yeah, I mean, 7 sacks would be spectacular.
Right. If he gets 5
if you told
sacks.
me, honestly, yeah, if you told me he's got like 5.5, 6, but he just plays 16 games, and because he's a problem, Bosa gets 15 or 16. Like, all right.
You're right.
Good. Great.
Well,
Thank you.
And he was only at 60% last year, remember?
And he was
Imagine
only
him
at
at 100.
60% last year. That seems unreal. That seems unlikely, but I don't know. I've looked forward to watching his interview and hearing him talk in person. Quotes without actually watching the person talk can be a little unfair. So we'll be fair. All right. Good work. Good work from Connor. Thanks to all of you for hanging out. Don't forget, thanks to Puesto. Appreciate Puesto. Go check out Cometeer, the great coffee that I love drinking. The link to a big discount is down in the description of the YouTube video. And we'll be back tomorrow with more. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. But by this point, after 3.5 hours, you've already made your decision. I'll talk to y'all soon. I'm off to Eugene, but I'll be doing stuff from Oregon tomorrow. Oregon spring game is on Saturday, and I'll be back home on Saturday night. All right. Later, y'all.